Two-year-old waitress, Lindsay Arthur, is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Brock Gendron, for destroying her apartment and for breaking her windshield.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 28 on the calendar in the matter of Arthur versus Gendron. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Arthur, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours. He lived in an apartment with you that you shared with someone else, another woman?
My sister, Sadie.
And the two of you were on the lease, but he was living there.
Right, and he's listed as an applicant on the...
Okay. Your complaint is twofold. You say that Mr. Gendron has a very, very bad temper.
Yes.
And when you had arguments, he took out his frustrations by putting a series of holes in the walls of the apartment, right through the plasterboard.
And then telling me I was lucky I was not the walls.
Well, you were.
Yeah.
And the second claim is that he damaged your car during another fit of his temper. Now, with regard to the car damage, the defendant says that he did cause some damage to the car, to the windshield, but that he paid for it because he gave you $100. He was charged for that. So, when did you two lovebirds take up residency together?
October of 2000 is when we moved into the apartment. We had priorly lived together at other places for 4 years.
Really? Did he make holes there too?
At a friend of ours, Daryl's, yes, he did.
He did?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't that give you a clue?
Yeah. It's, I don't know, you live and learn, maybe. I'm doing better now.
You lived and learned for a long time. You lived together for 4 years? You made holes?
Your Honor, I think she likes the drama, personally. She's one for drama. She's a drama queen. She's just a big drama queen. She likes it.
Enjoy this. Did you hear what I said? I said I'm going to enjoy this.
Okay. Have a good time.
Thank you. I wasn't speaking to you.
I'm sorry.
Now, you moved in October of 2000. When did he start making holes, Miss Arthur?
Right after Christmas, he punched the first hole in the wall.
Which room?
The living room.
Tell me about that.
It was just a fight over me coming in late, going out, and he doesn't like that if I'm going to go out and not with my friends and not bring him. And he got mad, punched a hole in that wall. Then he went into the dining room and took a broom and like punched holes into where the washing machine was in that area. And then we fought so much, the holes were punched over anything. One night I came home from going out with my friends, I got in the bed to go to sleep, and he had poured water on my side of the bed. So I got up to argue with him about that, and then he punched about 5 or 6 holes in our room.
Mm-hmm. When did he finally leave?
We moved out in June. We were still together then.
You were? Really?
Yeah. And I was hoping that he would try to compensate and pay me.
Something I didn't do, I don't think so.
So you didn't make any of these holes?
No, I did, and she can, like, what happened, the holes that I did, we bought plaster. She had bought the plaster to fix it or whatever, and did you or did you not? She bought it, I fixed the holes that I did. I move out, go to his house, come back. The whole place, the apartment building was a place to party. I mean, that's just how it was. Everyone in there partied. She had people, you know what I'm saying, like, everyone had people over. When I come back, the place is trashed. When we move the carpet, there's a big square of where there's just crap everywhere except for where the carpet was. That's why I threw the carpet down first, because I knew there was going to be a lot of traffic. She paid for the plaster and stuff for me to fix the holes. She was like, look, you got to fix this. So I'm like, cool, buy the stuff.
Could I please see the landlord's estimate of how much it will cost to fix that?
When he moved out, there was only 1 hole in the wall. So he's telling a lie right
When he moved out, there was 1 hole?
1 hole. He said when he came back that there was all kinds of holes and it was damaged. That's a lie. Because I kicked him out after he punched 1 hole in the wall. Then he came back and punched the rest of them.
But he lived there?
Yes.
But he lived there. You took him back?
Yeah.
You took him back?
Yeah.
Oh, you paid for half the holes. You want to know why? Because quite frankly, I don't understand why a young woman like you, who had 4 years experience with his bad temper, and saw that he was continuing that bad temper when you moved in someplace else, would continue to tolerate that kind of behavior unless you enjoyed the fighting and making up. I'm not so sure. But you got to smarten up. $875 to paint and repair the walls. $437.50. You pay for half. Now,
can I ask you one other question?
Sure.
shouldn't he be held responsible for a third of the rest of the damages since he lived there as
Yeah,
well?
but when she moved, her sister moved out, she left all of her crap in her room. Left everything. I mean, just left all kinds of crap for me to pick up, for
No,
us
I
to
didn't.
take
I
care
left
of.
the bed, and that was
The
it.
bed.
Me and him
your
were the ones
dresser.
that
Just a
resided
second.
there.
Paint and replace and repair doors.
That he ripped off.
Did you rip off any doors?
There was a broken door.
Did you rip off any
I
doors?
ripped it off. It was busted. When we
And what did you do with it?
we threw it in the dumpster.
So you pulled the rest off.
No, it fell off. It was broke. Why don't we find out who really broke the door? T, who lived upstairs, who you told me T
No,
broke the
he's
door.
fine.
Install carpet.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Yeah, forget it.
I just don't see why, if he was a resident there, he shouldn't be held responsible for a third of it like everyone else.
Because I was stupid enough to let him move in. That's why. You're irritating me, Miss Arthur.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't. What do you do for a living?
I'm a server. And I go to school.
So you're trying to make something of yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying
And
to.
what do you do?
I've been working in Massachusetts. I moved back in at home. I do construction with my father, but I don't anymore. I moved back out.
So what do you do?
Right now, nothing. I'm chilling for the summer. I'm going
How
back
old-
to school in fall.
how old
I
are
go
you?
to school in the fall.
How old are you?
22.
22. And how do you get spending money?
I have spending money. I have saved up money. I have a bank. I have my own account.
I'm asking you, how do you get spending money, Mr. Jedrin?
I just told you I worked construction.
No.
I have proof of
Yeah,
all
you-
that.
That's not how you get your spending money now.
Right now,
You know,
I have.
you know how smart I am?
have-
I'm really, really smart, Mr. Gendron.
I know.
You know that I'm really smart? And do you know that I know how you get your spending money?
What's that?
You know, and you know that I know how you get your spending money.
I used to be
Maybe you're in
sales.
sales, sir. Huh?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lindsay Arthur claims ex-boyfriend Brock Gendron broke her windshield and used his own blood to write curse words on her car.
You his roommate?
No, I wasn't his roommate.
Are you his roommate now?
He's staying at my house right
Staying
now.
at your house now.
Actually, it's my dad's house. It's not actually my house.
Dad lives there too?
Yeah, it's his. It's me, my
Dad-
grandfather, my brother, and me.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let's get to the windshield in '01. You were driving in the car, you had a fight, and he broke the windshield.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right?
I called the police because he took my keys from me and would not let me leave. When I came back the next morning, he had beat the crap out of my car, put a beer bottle on it, cut his hand, pardon my language, and wrote "you" in blood on the hood.
So you were still together?
I mean, not together, but we would see each other occasionally. We're on again, off again. I thought I could go pick him up, we could go to a party, we could hang out, have a good time. He flips out at the party, acts all crazy.
'Cause her friend
driving
tried to
his-
say I smelled crack.
Listen to me.
He's,
Sorry.
You know, I was trying to help him. He has a problem. He needed help. He still needs help for the problem.
That's
what's
well,
my-
for what kind of problem does he have? What
He
needs
has
help
a
for?
heroin problem.
Yeah. Do tell. That doesn't
Better
come
than
as
my
a
mom having a crank problem.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, that's why I was trying to help
went to
him.
rehab.
I
I got-
tried. That's why he had these binges. He put all these holes in my wall. I was trying to help him.
You don't
heroin
stay.
problem.
You don't stay
Your
with
trip.
that.
I know that now.
All right. So his father gave you $100 to bust the windshield out. Father gave you $100 if you didn't pursue the case. Is that right? So now what do you want?
He broke the turn signal switch off of the car to where my windshield wipers are constantly working, and I'd like to get that fixed. And I've got just an estimate for that and an estimate for the labor of putting in the windshield.
Why did
You
you
haven't
take?
put any
Why did you?
windshield in.
Hey,
If I'm
try to
going
control yourself.
Sorry.
I know that several people may be operating in your brain this morning, but I want you to try to control the person who's here. Why did you accept $100 from his father?
Because he was moving to Massachusetts to try to go to a rehab program to get his life straight.
Which I did.
So-
Yeah, right.
You accepted $100 for the damage.
For the windshield.
You accepted $100 for the damage.
Okay.
He owes you for putting half the holes in the wall, $437.50. And unfortunately for you, Miss Arthur, I'm not sure it's over. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $437.50. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's hard to put up with someone who has a drug problem.
The whole situation of her bringing up stuff that had nothing to do with the case, that's just like her because, like I said, she's a drama queen.
He's the drama queen. He's the one punching holes in the wall and sticking needles in his arms.
I move out, come back in, place is trash. What can I say?
When we did kick him out, he would come around the apartment.
He
and,
wouldn't
like,
go
beat on the
away. He would
windows.
never leave.
He tagged our windows with a permanent marker. Dude is crazy.
Yeah.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Alonzo versus Campbell. Step forward, please.
Nurse practitioner Erin Alonso is suing former client and spa owner Sandy Campbell for the unpaid balance on a Botox injection. Sandy says the procedure was supposed to be a freebie.
Miss Alonso, it is your claim that the defendant owes you $500 for a series of Botox injections that you gave her.
Right.
The defendant says that she owes you nothing, that this was a free trial.
Right.
So, for Bird's edification, we're going to discuss what Botox is.
Thank you.
He knows. You don't know, do you?
I have no idea.
Well, let me tell you what little I know of Botox injections, secondhand, of course. Botox injections is something that some ladies, and I'm sure some men, take, where a medical professional injects in your lines, if you have them. Botulism, right?
That's that stuff that makes you sick.
Right, that's the stuff that makes you sick. It may make you sick in your tummy, but it doesn't make you sick in your lines. So what happens is that this botulism poison kills your nerve, or deadens your nerve, or stings it, and it relaxes, and then your lines go away. Now, is that the short form of what Botox is?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Now you got it?
No, I don't got it, and I don't want it.
Yeah, you got it. So you tell me how it came to pass that you gave the defendant a series of Botox injections.
Okay. I work in collaboration with a plastic surgeon, and we started going out and doing it mobily. So I'm constantly looking for new salons and spas to increase my clientele, and that's what brought me to call Sandra Campbell.
So that clients of the defendant would use your service.
That's
So-
right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we talked about it. She was interested in bringing me into the salon, and I left it at that. I said, okay, great. I was going to fax over to her my price list. Then later in the week, Jeannie called me up and said that they wanted to try Botox. And so I said, okay, fine. So I said, you know, we set up a date and a time of when they wanted me to come in and do it. And I showed up there, and I did it. And I injected both of them. Jeannie paid me like normal clients do. And after I injected Sandra, she was upset, and like all of a sudden was like, what do you mean, you know, that you're going to charge me? And I said, well, of course I'm going to charge you. You don't make an appointment with somebody and not have something be free unless you've discussed it, you know, maybe before that. And Botox is very expensive, and there's no way. I mean, my mother barely gets free Botox, so.
Tell me your short version of the same events.
I own a day spa in Lakewood, and Jeannie came to me with a newspaper ad that Erin had put in the paper, and Jeannie said, you know, everybody's doing this. Maybe we should try to offer it in the salon. I said, well, I don't know. We'll think about it. And so Jeannie contacted Erin, and she came in, and we did discuss her prices. So then I was going to put 2 ads in the paper that totaled $402. And then 2 weeks went into it, and Jeannie contacted her because Jeannie keeps saying, we kind of need to have a sample of it for clients to see. So then Erin came in. It was set up, and she came in.
Who called her?
Jeannie did.
Okay. Step up, Jeannie. What's your last name?
Mewis.
Would you tell me what your conversation was with the plaintiff when she called?
I called Erin and I said, we'd like to see what your service is all about so we can, because all of our clients said, you know,
You
do
wanted
it
a
first.
freebie.
Pardon me?
You wanted a freebie. Sure you did. But that's okay.
Well, that's the way it works
But
in
that's
this
okay.
business. That's the way it
Listen,
works.
I understand. That's okay.
That's the way it works.
You wanted to sell.
We want to
she
see
wanted
what
to
she
go
does.
in there. You felt that there was going to be a free trial for the two of you. You said, come on in. I'm going to spend the money to put out an ad in the paper, a couple of $100. And for that, I will at least get us some botulism poison put in my face. Anyway, then she came in. Now, according to Miss Alonso, you paid her. Could you tell me why you paid her?
I was intimidated. I did not believe. I told her I would pay her for my lips. That's what I thought I would be paying for. The Botox, what we talked about, I was assuming that was going to be a trial. So I thought it would be $350. I didn't have a problem paying for my lips.
But then you paid much more than $350.
Right, it was $750.
I have a couple of other questions. Miss Alonso, did you discuss with the defendant how much her treatment would be before you did it?
I did in fax. I faxed them over my price sheet.
No,
and I
your
have
price sheet, Miss Alonso, that you faxed them over is for other customers. And let's understand this. If you are going into business with someone, I'm not stupid, you wouldn't charge her the same thing as you would charge somebody else, especially if you're trying to get her business.
Well, and
So that when I ask you whether or not you discussed with the defendant what the cost would be to her before you gave her the first shot, that's the answer that I want. Did you or did you not?
I did not. What had happened was that when I had gone in there, we hadn't even started doing business together yet. And I want to just clarify one thing, though.
Just a second. Clarify in a second. When you did Miss Campbell, had you already done the witness?
Yes.
When you did the witness, she said to you she didn't think there would be a charge for certain things. Is that right?
She never said that.
You just told her how much it was and she paid you.
Well, what had happened was, I mean, this is a very expensive medication that nobody...
Just follow my question. Did she say to you, I thought this was going to be a trial, or at least part of it was going to be a trial?
No, she didn't.
You just told her how much it was and she paid you?
Right.
Is that right?
No.
No. Of course it isn't right. Of
I
course it
was
isn't
shocked.
right.
It was a lot of money.
Step up and tell me what you said to her.
I said I thought this was going to be a trial, and I'll more than gladly pay for my lips. That's what I thought it was going to be. The Botox was what we discussed.
Okay, and she said?
$750. I did this, $750.
Okay, sit down. That's what happened, Miss Alonso. She did question the amount, and you went over each procedure, and she paid you.
Right.
But she questioned it. So it would seem to me, Miss Alonso, that before you did Miss Campbell's work, you would have said to her, I want to make sure we understand each other. There is no free trial. I'm here. This is strictly business. You are just another client as far as this service is concerned. Not perform a service for $500 without having previously discussed the amount with anybody.
I usually always discuss the amount with everybody that I did, but because I had faxed it over to them, and because she had said that, you know, that she trades and stuff like that, but I'm not in the beauty industry that they're in. This is medicine.
Listen.
It's not the same.
You don't fax over a list of prices to someone that you are going to be doing business with and expect them to assume that the prices you faxed over for strangers who walked in the door was what you were going to charge them if you were going to charge them anything. So you discuss with them what your service will be. I'm looking at your face. I think you should have something here, 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 here. It'll be $500. Shall I go ahead with it?
Right, I understand
Right,
that.
good. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 587 on the calendar in the matter of McBride versus Roach. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. McBride, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you.
Yes.
The defendant says he was merely protecting his sister. So I want you to tell me how you all know each other and what precipitated this altercation with the defendant.
Well, I know everybody through Corey, who's my best friend through high school.
Through this gentleman?
Yes. I met his girlfriend at the time through...
Which is girlfriend? Raise your hand, girlfriend. Good. Your name is?
Christina.
Christina. Go ahead.
The night I got a call at work, she was getting kicked out of her house. And
Who was?
Christina. Christina was getting kicked out of her house and needed my truck to get her futon and some other items out of her house. And I went over there and...
Who was she living with at the time?
Her parents.
Okay.
And they were saying vulgar things.
Who was?
Her parents. And a green minivan pulled up, and I didn't know at the time, and he came out and was talking to me at curbside.
Who's he?
Sean.
How is he related to Christina?
My uncle.
You're Christina's uncle?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And he was like, you know, just stay out of this. And I'm like, I am. And her mom came out of the house and were saying things about some of my friends. So
What was she saying about some of your friends?
It was a girlfriend and her age, and saying how I have these relationships with underage girls or something. As words were getting said, you know, he did pull me to the curb talking to me. She came out...
No, you went very fast. Don't slur your words. Sorry. You are exchanging words with your sister.
Yes. Well, no.
Just a second.
Okay.
He's exchanging words with your sister, according to him.
Okay.
You pull up. Did somebody call you to come home?
Yes.
Who called you?
My nephew.
And said there's an altercation going on here, come home?
Your Honor, what happened is I called probably about 5 minutes before my nephew called. I was calling up to see, it was a Friday night, I was calling up to see what they're going to do this weekend. I was just talking to her. And all of a sudden, I hear like noises in the background, like yelling and stuff. And my sister says, I got to go, and hangs the phone up on me. Hangs the phone up, not bye, I just got to go bye, and just hangs the phone. Like at this point, I'm thinking, what's happening? A couple minutes later, my nephew calls me up. He says, they're going after my dad, get over here. I'm like, who? And she said, Corey and his friends. Okay, at this point, I don't know what, I mean,
you don't know what happens. You get into your car and you go over there.
Absolutely.
Now, there's no question that once you got over there,
yes,
there's a whole melee of brothers, sisters, aunts, nieces, nephews. Everybody's outside screaming. Everybody's outside. Now, I want you to tell me this, sir. I read between the lines in your answer.
Mm-hmm.
You hit him.
Yes, I did.
Where did you hit him, by the way?
Where'd I hit him?
Yeah.
I hit him in the jaw.
In the jaw. What happened when you were hit in the jaw, sir? Your tooth came out, right?
Yes.
Now, he didn't hit you first.
Yes, he did.
No, no, no. No, he didn't hit you first.
There's a lot preceding this, Your Honor. There's a lot preceding.
I want you to answer my question. I don't care what preceded it.
Absolutely.
I read your answer very carefully.
Okay.
He did not hit you first. The first person to put their hands on somebody between the two of you was you, because he was disrespecting.
No. He elbowed me in the side of the head earlier.
Elbowed you.
I can't
Broke my glasses.
Just a second. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, Mr. Roach.
Yes. I can go through the whole thing and tell you.
I'm going to read you your answer, sir.
Okay.
My sister Pam came out of the house and told Ryan and the rest of his friends to leave.
Nothing about girlfriend.
Just a second.
Yes.
I'm speaking.
All right.
At this point, Ryan stepped to the side and leaned over my shoulder towards her, directing profanities at her. I then grabbed him and wrestled him to the hood of my truck.
His truck.
Of a truck.
Yes.
That's what you wrote.
Yes, it's true.
Well, then the first person to put hands on somebody was you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes. Absolutely. No, I never would say anything different than that.
You just did, sir.
No.
You just told me that he put his hands on you first, and he elbowed you and broke your glasses, and I said, no, no, no. You got to get your story straight, Mr. Roach, because in your sworn statement to me, you say that he was disrespecting your sister, and you grabbed him and threw him up against the hood of a truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Because he was going after my sister with profanities, I felt compelled to protect her. I told him never to talk to my sister that way. That's what you wrote.
Absolutely. No question about it, ma'am.
So you assaulted him first. Anything that comes
Absolutely,
after that,
yes.
anything that comes out after that, sir, if he resisted you, if he elbowed you and broke your glasses, doesn't make any difference.
Absolutely.
When did you punch him?
That's
When did you punch him?
after this. After all this.
No, so let me see your medical bills. Very easy. Easy case.
No, Your Honor, there's a lot that went into this before this stuff.
Please.
I was just trying to go over there to help out. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I walked over there.
Just so you know.
I see this guy over here by the van yelling to my family. Corey and Chrissy were over at the other car, like by their car. I don't know what's going on. I just walked up. I walked to the sidewalk, and I say, calmly, it's a family matter. Let's leave this. Let it go. Just let this go. He comes towards me. He's right in front of me now. My sister walks up to, she's behind me, and she says, get off my property. He says, I don't know if I can say it.
Hey, say anything. I've heard it all.
Okay, he says, you. Okay, at this point, when he says this, he's in front of me, and he goes over, I'm not saying he's assaulting me, but he goes like this, and he's making contact with me. He says, you. Okay, at that point.
You assaulted him.
At that point, I grabbed him and threw him on the truck.
You assaulted him. That's an assault.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ryan McBride says his friend's uncle, Sean Roach, punched him in the mouth and knocked out a tooth.
You grabbed him, threw him up against the hood of a truck because he called your sister a name. You got mad. That's what happened.
I didn't get mad. I mean,
You didn't get mad?
I got a little upset, yes.
Mr. Roach, you had absolutely no right to put your hands on him. I want to know when your tooth got knocked out, sir.
When he was on the truck, I had an 88 F-150.
Sir,
okay.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
It's a big truck with a roll bar.
I didn't understand anything that you said before that either.
Okay. Well, when he choked me, I got out of that. I don't know if somebody pulled him off.
Is he talking very fast, or am I getting old?
It's kind of slurred. Take
Listen
your
to
time.
me. Yes. Slowly.
Okay. He choked me on my truck, and he threw my coat up over my head, And when I got out of that, I saw a fist come at me.
So he pulled the coat over you?
Yes.
Did you press any charges, Mr. McBride?
I tried to. I consulted a lawyer, and they said in Oakland.
I'm talking about consulting a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm talking about pressing criminal charges.
I went
with
to,
regard
and
to
the
this
lawyer
assault.
advised me not to, because it would not go over in Oakland County. They don't like these kind of trials, and they would basically throw it out.
Go ahead, Mr. Roach. I'll hear you.
I called the detectives as this was going on because I was concerned what was happening. I called the detectives and I was saying, you know, what's going to happen here. I gave him my statement. He said that his parents
Don't tell me what he told you.
Okay. His parents were calling up trying to do whatever they could to get these charges to stick to me. The detective said that there was not a case here. There was no case. They
Well,
were
there is a
dropped the
case.
charges.
There is a case. That's why I said to you, don't tell me what
He
the
didn't
detective
drop the
didn't say.
charges. The court dropped the charges.
Oh, I don't know that at all. Were you arrested?
No.
Then the court didn't drop charges.
No,
How can
that's
the
what
court
the
drop
detective told me.
charges if you weren't arrested?
Okay, the court may have not have. However the court works, that's how the charges were dropped.
No, they
not
were never
by
dropped
him.
because they were never filed. The detectives decided not to pursue the matter.
Yes.
They probably listened to you when you said that he elbowed you first.
No, I
You
grabbed
just
him
told-
first. I'm sorry,
No.
I misunderstood. I grabbed him first. No question about it, ma'am.
You
No
grabbed him
question
first
about
and
it.
threw him up against his truck.
Yes, no
Okay,
question
judgment
about
for the plaintiff in the amount of
Excuse me, Your Honor.
$5,000. That's all.
Can I not speak? Because
No,
this is,
can't
it all,
speak, can't
it
say
has
it.
to do with beforehand. He hit me.
Excuse
Ryan
me,
hit me too.
Just a minute. Your bills, sir, are almost $5,000. Can you tell me why you're only suing for $3,000?
In Michigan, they will only allow me to go up to $3,000.
Oh, I suppose that's your...
What about him
that's
assaulting
your-
my sister?
Yeah, he hit me too,
That's
Your
okay?
Honor. Before he got hit in the mouth, he hit me. Ryan hit me.
Yeah, so where's your lawsuit?
Well, I wasn't suing him.
Well, he's suing him.
I know, but the whole thing is they were not asked to be at our property. We asked them to leave our property.
Let me explain something to you. Step up. I'll give it to you very fast. How is Christina related to you?
She is my daughter. And she
Shh. Listen to you. She is your daughter. Up until that time, was she living with you?
No, she had left a couple weeks before that.
She had things in your home?
We made arrangements for her to get him the next day. She came that night, and she also has a truck. She did not need him to bring all these
That's a
kids
whole bunch
to our
of
house.
stories, madam. Let me tell you something. He was not there without some legitimate authority. If a person who lived in that house invited him to come, now if he's there as an invited guest, even to just remove her property from the house, you can't assume that you can assault him for staying on your property once you tell him to leave.
She had been gone for 2 weeks. She was not living in our premises. She had been already gone, and we
Your
asked her
brother
to leave.
had no right to
Well-
assault the plaintiff, period.
But-
He really wasn't involved with this. He was doing his friend a favor by coming and bringing his truck. Everything was going to be quiet. All you had to do was, if she wasn't living there for 2 weeks, let her take her stuff and go. I don't know why there was a whole
Because we
argument.
made arrangements, and she had a truck, and we asked for them not to come because I also have 2 sons that Mr. McBride was trying to get my 11-year-old to start a fight with him. The profanities that were being said was from them, not from us.
I like to lie.
Shut up, Christina.
We've asked-
Quiet. Listen to me. This is not family court. If it were, perhaps I might spend some more time trying to put together what is a story of a broken family. This is the case of an assault. Your brother put his hands on a stranger for using bad words to you. He's not allowed to do that, and he has to pay the consequences of doing that.
I understand
Whether
that.
whether you say that the plaintiff touched you first, that is not why your brother assaulted him. Your brother put his hands on him because he called you a name. That's what he just testified
But
to.
he had his hand raised, and I did file a suit against
The
him.
two
Goodbye.
dropped out afterwards. After he assaulted
Parties
me.
are excused. You may step out.
Next time I'll throw him over my knee and spank him. That's what his parents should have done to him long ago. We wouldn't have had this problem.
If my mom actually really cared about me, then maybe none of this would have happened.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Younger versus Hampton. Step forward, please.
37-year-old computer engineer Nancy Younger is suing her former friend, 26-year-old cashier Robin Hampton, for the cost of child support.
Miss Younger, the defendant's son was placed in your care by the courts.
Yes.
And you claim that pursuant to the court order, the defendant who is receiving child support for that child from the child's father, those checks were to be endorsed and payable to you while the child was in your care.
That's correct.
And it is your claim that 6 checks that the defendant received while the child was in your care were not turned over to you. That's what you're suing for.
Yes.
defendant says you got all the money that you were supposed to. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Tell me when and why the child was placed in your care.
The child was placed in my care in January at Miss Hampton's request.
Why were you willing to have her take care of your
My
son?
son was taken away from me in January due to child abuse. My ex-boyfriend.
So the court was going to remove the child from your care.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you asked the plaintiff to take him instead of having him go into foster care.
Yes, ma'am.
How much support were you getting for the child from the child's father?
It was $154 a month.
When was the child removed from your care?
August 28th.
How many checks did you receive?
Well, actually, what I had asked Miss Hampton originally how much child support he was receiving, she told me $154.44 a month. And originally, I didn't question that. I assumed that she would tell me the correct amount. What happened was, my witness here, this is the child's father, he provided for me a Department of Revenue disbursement report, and I found out he was actually receiving $154.44 every 2 weeks.
Is that right?
When I got paid, I turned him over to her.
You didn't answer my question.
Whatever I received, I'm not sure if it was every 2 weeks or every month, because I would get a payment and then I wouldn't get a payment, then I'd get a payment and then be several weeks without payment, so I couldn't even keep up if it was every 2 weeks or every month. The report shows it was issued approximately, give or take a few days, every 2 months. I missed...
Every 2 months?
Every 2 weeks, I'm sorry. I missed a check, at least one check every month.
How much money did you receive in total in the 7 months that you cared for the child?
$1,081.08.
That's what you received from her?
The ones that I checked are the ones I received.
$1,081?
Yes.
This is a simple case. Ms. Hampton.
Yes.
Everything that was received by the Department of Revenue during the time that she had physical custody of the child belongs to her. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your answer, you received some checks in September. Is that right?
2.
That money you didn't give her. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you know, Ms. Hampton, that they don't send it to you for the week that's coming up. They send it to you sometimes for a month that's passed, for 6 weeks that's passed, because it takes them time to process these things.
Right.
Right? So why didn't you turn over those checks to her?
Because she had no longer had my son.
But that was for money when she did have your son.
He owes me an arrear of child support for 7.5 years.
Step up here, sir. You have a copy of your child support order?
Not with me, Your Honor.
What is the child support order?
The child support order is $154 every 2 weeks.
Is it separated as far as arrears and what is the current order?
They assess an extra $20 to make up for those arrears. In other words, I was garnished about $174 every 2 weeks on average.
Well, that's what I want to know.
Right.
Just for my own information, you owe her $772. Why was the child removed from your care?
The child was removed from my care because of a call that Ms. Hampton made to the Florida Abuse Hotline. She's made a call regarding every family that the child has ever lived with. She calls the abuse hotline, and subsequently the child gets moved someplace else. And basically the Inspector General report said that the child should have never been removed from my home, that he was not ever in any harm. The department was going solely based on Mrs. Hampton's statements. I have a copy of that here if you need to see it.
I'd like to see it. Where's your son now?
With his father. This is a 72-page report that was issued by the Inspector General, and I've highlighted the pertinent parts.
All right, I'm not going to get into this report. There are things there that, quite frankly, without reading the entire report, I would have trouble making a determination about. However, suffice it to say that your son is with you now, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Child doing all right?
Much better, in fact. He's now an AB student.
And what about his mother? Does his mother see him?
When she feels like it. We've had about 13 to 14 scheduled visitations, of where she's appeared maybe 6 times.
What kind of visitation is it?
Well, it depends. We have the stay up for 14 to 19 hours a day visits. We have the whole let's go to everyone else's house rather than home.
No, I'm talking about what kind of court-ordered visitation is there?
It's supposed to be a weekend unsupervised.
Weekend unsupervised?
Yes.
Whatever happened with the child abuse case that caused the child to be removed from your care initially? You were charged with neglect.
No, I was charged with failure to protect.
Well, that's neglect. What happened with that case?
It's still going on. The procedure's still going on. I go for reunification May 30th of this year.
Was there a trial with regard to that case? Was there a trial? You had a lawyer.
Yes.
Did a caseworker testify?
Yes.
So there was a trial where you found guilty of failure to protect. Yes. Is that right?
Yes.
Child was turned over to the father, and you have ongoing meetings with the social worker and the child with regard to reunification.
Right.
It's like pulling teeth sometimes.
Yeah, I know. All right. In any event, the child is with the father. You owe her $772, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 539 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas Hilaire versus Smith Gray. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You're Georgiana?
Yes.
And this is your mother?
Yes.
I'd like your mother to sit down, please. You're Miss Smith?
Yes, I am.
And this is your son?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, because I'll bring you up later if we need your testimony. How old are you?
14.
It is your complaint through your mother that you suffered a serious back injury in school as a result of an incident involving the defendant.
Yes.
When did this happen?
September 11th.
And you were in school?
Yes.
Were you inside the school?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
My mom dropped me off. I got out of the car, went to the gated area, and I waited for my friends to get there. So my friend showed up a couple of minutes later, and then he showed up.
Did you know Thomas from before?
Yes.
Were you friends?
We'll socialize, but not friends.
What do you mean you socialized?
Like, just talk if we have a class together.
So you did speak to him?
Yeah.
Never had any trouble with him?
No.
Okay. So then Thomas showed up.
He was picking on another girl before he picked on me.
What do you mean he was picking on somebody?
Like, pushing her and, like, hitting her.
In a fooling around way?
Yeah. He told her that he was going to pick on her, and then she said, no, you're not. And then he said, okay, well, I'm going to pick on Georgie then.
Okay. And that didn't bother you because you knew he was fooling around?
Yes.
So when he said, I'm going to pick on Georgie, what, did he do anything?
He started hitting me.
Where did he hit you?
Right here and like this.
Well, I want you to tell me whether he was hitting you or just...
Slapping.
Was he laughing, smiling?
Smiling.
And you?
I was laughing at first.
So you were laughing at first. So you knew he wasn't hurting you. It was just fooling around.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
And then we were walking to first period, and he was still hitting me.
When you say he was still hitting you, how was he hitting you?
Slapping me.
Where?
Like on the arm and right here, like this. And we got to the building, we're inside, and I finally got the nerve to hit him back with my backpack.
Tell me how you did that.
I swung around twice, and I didn't get him the first time, but I got him the second time, I think around the below stomach area. I guess that made him mad, I don't know. And then I turned around to just get away from him, and I thought he would quit. And so I turned around to go get a drink of water.
Let's stop there for a moment. Up until that time, it was really just messing around, wasn't it?
Yes.
Up until that time, he was really messing around with you. Wasn't hurting you. You were fooling around because you certainly were with enough people so that you could have said to them, somebody help me, he's hurting me. He wasn't hurting you, right?
No.
And you didn't intend to hurt him when you swung at him with the backpack. You were messing around.
Yes.
When you swung the first time and missed, did you say anything to him or did he say anything to you?
No.
Were you smiling when you swung around and hit him?
Yes.
Were you smiling when you swung around and hit him again?
Yes.
Keep going. So then you went over to get a drink of water.
And I turned facing this way, and he was like to this chair, and then he put his foot against the wall, and he kneeled down. And then next thing I know, took off, and I thought he was just joking, he was going to stop. And I landed on my behind, and all I remember is crying.
Just a second. Wait a second. So he pushed you?
Yes.
And you fell and landed on your behind?
Yes.
And you hurt your back?
Yes.
And that's what this case is all about, the injuries that you sustained as a result of falling on your backside. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to say anything?
Well, I didn't intentionally mean to push her, but I did not come down in the football position. Just when she swung her backpack, I dodged it and gave her a little touch, and she fell.
Well, you pushed her.
Yeah.
But everything else that we've talked about so far this morning, Thomas, is about accurate. You were messing around?
Yeah, for like a minute, but then I left.
You were messing around with her.
Yeah.
And then by tapping her, slapping her, whatever. But nobody was angry.
No, it wasn't tapping or slapping like that.
What were you doing?
Like just talking.
You didn't put your hands on her?
No. I like put my hand on her shoulder.
Well, that's what we're talking about. You put your hand on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Didn't punch her.
No.
Didn't slap her in the face.
No, ma'am.
Right?
No.
Didn't punch you.
No.
Now the mothers can stand up. So your daughter was injured.
Yes.
Tell me how she was injured.
She was transported from the school to the nearest hospital near the school. We spent about 8 hours in that hospital before we finally found out by them doing an MRI and an X-ray that she had crushed her T12. I don't know how much you know about medicals, but it takes a lot of force to crush a vertebrae in your back.
Was she in a brace?
After we were at that first hospital for the first 8 hours, it was decided because of her age and the seriousness of the injury that it was best for her to go to a children's hospital, which was a 45-minute drive, which she had to take by ambulance again. We arrived there at 2 o'clock in the morning. They measured her for a full-body brace that went from here to here, had a front plate and a back plate, Velcroed on the side.
And how long did she remain in that cast?
For 3 months. But, Your Honor, I also want to stress that because it happened on September 11th, the incident, she was measured for the brace the next day, but because the planes were grounded after September 11th incident in New York, the brace had to come from Michigan, so she had to lay in a hospital bed for 6 days, living on morphine because they couldn't come until a week later. Excuse me.
You okay now?
She had to, she could not be out of bed without the brace. She couldn't take a shower for 3 months. I had to sponge bathe her every day. Anytime she needed to go to the bathroom, I had to put the brace on her and help her to the restroom. Plus, I was working full-time still, taking care of my daughter with a broken back.
Year-old Georgiana Hilaire says classmate Thomas Gray injured her back while horsing around at school.
Don't you believe that your daughter bears any responsibility for this at all? I'm not excusing this young man's behavior in pushing her, the fact that she fell, but they were messing around. She hit him first.
No,
There's
she
no
didn't.
question. Yes, she did. According to her own testimony, he was at most, I learned a word here, mushing. What's mushing? Didn't you tell me what mushing was when you sort of go like this?
Right.
Right?
Nudge her.
It's kind of nudging. That's what he was doing to her. And even according to her, didn't hurt her. She was smiling, he was smiling, she was with a bunch of kids. She wasn't in danger. He hadn't hit her. She hit him with her backpack. And she swung several times with her backpack. That's not excusing what happened. I mean, he could have walked away. Probably should have walked away. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
This was not an assault. This was kids fooling around on their way to class. And unfortunately, one of them got seriously injured. Were you suspended from school?
I was expelled for 2 semesters.
What about you?
I was out of school for 3 months.
Was your son arrested for assault?
No, ma'am.
Of course not, because this wasn't an assault. So what I want to know now is, what were your out-of-pocket expenses with regard to this
I have
unfortunate
copies
incident?
of the medical bills.
No, I want to know what your out-of-pocket expenses were. I assume you have insurance.
Yes.
Good. So what were your out-of-pocket expenses for her medical care, not your work loss or anything else?
I didn't calculate any of that, and I haven't paid any of the bills yet because there was a problem with the insurance.
So you don't know?
No.
So I can't tell what your medicals will be, if any. It may be that the insurance is going to cover everything. You have to know that you were partially responsible.
I know.
Good. I'm glad you know that. What responsibility do you believe, if any, that you have to compensate the plaintiff for the injury she sustained?
Well, I think it was all an accident and that it could have been prevented, but I wasn't thinking at the time. Like, I apologized to her, and I really regret for what I did, but if I can take it back, I would.
You didn't mean to hurt her, did you?
No, ma'am.
How long had your son been in that school?
The beginning of September in school.
Did you just start that school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your Honor, they were in school 6 days when this happened.
Yeah, a
Okay,
couple
but
of weeks.
was this the first year that you were in that school?
Yes, ma'am.
You were just starting high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and as a result of that, you were expelled for 2 semesters.
Yes, ma'am.
That's his punishment. And you're back in the school now.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes when you fool around, one person gets injured more than another. That doesn't mean a lawsuit. Your case is dismissed. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Unfortunately, like Judge Judy said, someone got hurt.
I've been struggling with this ever since it happened on September 11th.
Horseplay is not the thing to do.
Playing around is not playing around when somebody gets hurt as badly as she did.
I'm very sorry that it happened.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Henry versus Goss. Step forward, please.
23-year-old student Danielle Henry is suing her former roommate, 22-year-old waitress Nancy Goss, for damages to her apartment caused by Nancy's Chihuahua.
Miss Henry, according to your complaint, the defendant became your roommate. She moved in with a dog. It's her boyfriend's dog, a little Chihuahua. I assume you're not roommates anymore, is that right?
No, ma'am.
And you claim that her dog destroyed your carpet. You want her to reimburse you for the carpet. She said you had a dog too, and the dogs were equally responsible for the damaged carpet. When did she move in with you, Miss Henry?
It was in June 2001.
And you have a dog?
Yes, I do.
What kind of a dog do you have?
It's a Chihuahua as well. It's a 4-year-old Chihuahua, ma'am.
And you were bringing your boyfriend's dog?
Yes, ma'am, because of her Chihuahua.
Okay, what kind of damage do you allege her dog did to your carpet?
Her dog chewed a hole in her bedroom in which she already knew about and cleaned up and didn't tell me about.
Chewed a hole?
Yes, ma'am. I have pictures.
All right.
Pictures of the carpet, pictures of the dog, pictures of other damages the dog's done.
I have better pictures if you'd like to see.
I'm not interested in seeing all the doggy pictures, although they're adorable, but I'm really busy today. Are these the only... Is this the damage that you're talking about just on one page?
As far as the carpets, ma'am?
Yeah, as far as the carpets.
We also have the lawn that was destroyed, and my stereo cables were also chewed up. Boxes and...
Did you replace them?
She did. Her fiance, Brandon, did.
So we're only talking about carpet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm looking at the carpet. And how do you know her dog did this damage?
Ma'am, her dog was a puppy, and when it first moved in, it was really young and didn't destroy anything, but eventually it started to destroy things through the month of August and September. I confronted Miss Goss about this, about the damages, and that she needed to replace them, and that the dog would need to be contained when we're not home, being that the damages continued, and that's when she assaulted me.
Did I ask a question there that she answered?
I don't know if she ever really got to it.
How do you know her dog did the damage instead
Okay.
of both of your dogs doing the damage?
I lived in the apartment for a year before Miss Goss lived there, and there was no holes in the rugs ever, and my dog has never done anything as far as damages. I also lived in another apartment, which I got my full and complete deposit back, so my dog never destroyed anything there as well.
Okay, did your dog eat up the carpet?
No.
Make little holes in the carpet?
No, there's no way possible. I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, 'cause he's never...
let's go back. Let's go back a second. All right. Of course, there's a way possible.
Well, yeah.
One of the holes that I saw in this book, in her scrapbook of dog, was in your bedroom.
Yes, ma'am.
When you moved into the bedroom, I assume there was not a hole in the carpet.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you moved out, there was a hole in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, she must have at some point told you or had a discussion with you about the hole in the bedroom carpet.
No.
She never had a discussion with you about the hole in the bedroom carpet?
Your Honor, that's a lie.
No, it's not.
Just don't
ma'am.
Well, what was the argument about on September 10th?
Me and my fiance just got back from uptown. She was in the kitchen. We recycled, and I came walking in, and she was like, Hercules chewed up my computer wires. And I'm like, well, Danielle, you know, if he did that, then I would replace them. And she kept on and on and on and on. I was like, Danielle, leave it alone.
No. Just a second. Listen to me. She said that your dog destroyed the computer, chewed the computer wires, and you said, my boyfriend will replace them. So I assume you knew that it was true, because when you have a little dog, that's what I have, you see where their favorite spots are to go. So you've probably seen your dog chewing on wires. Right.
Wires, not carpet.
So you probably knew that your dog did that kind of damage. Then you said she went on and on and on and on and on. I want to know what the on and on and on and on was. That's the important part.
You need to lock up Hercules.
Okay.
Didn't ask. If she would have asked, it would have been fine. But she did not ask. She is very demanding. That's how she wants it done. It's her way or no way.
Okay.
All
Now,
she had to do was ask.
Was this the first time she had asked you or told you that your dog had destroyed something in the house?
No.
No. So she had told you that the dog had done other damage in the house?
To wires.
To wires. But when you came home on this day, she said, again, your dog was at the wires. And this time it was to what kind of system?
It was a stereo.
Stereo system.
And a laptop cord.
All right. So then she was saying to you, you have to contain the dog, because it was not the first time that the dog had caused damage. And then there was an altercation, some sort of. And then you moved out, I assume, in September?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you get any sort of an estimate on putting a patch there?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was it?
Oh, I'm sorry, not as far as a patch. Miss Goss tried to patch the carpet, in which she spoke with the landlord about that. And so when that wouldn't work, that's when she decided that it could have been either dog.
Oh, so you
May I
did.
say something?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold it. Hold it.
I have it in her letter, ma'am.
So you knew about the carpet, Miss Goss, and you spoke to the landlord about patching it?
Okay, this is the situation.
Just
None of
answer
the
my
carpet.
question. Just answer my question. You knew about the carpet and you discussed with the landlord
About patching it.
about patching
Yes.
it. And did you try to patch it?
He said that the landlord's wife, said that Danielle preferred to have new carpet while staying there. I asked him again. I said, can we patch it? He said it can be done, but I'd rather not.
Not patch it?
Not patch it.
Then you got to replace it. Period. I mean, I know what we're doing here. I initially thought when I looked at these papers, well, how can you tell what damage is caused by what dog? This was in your bedroom. You clearly at some point acknowledged that it was your dog's fault because you went to the landlord and said, look, I'll fix it, I'll patch it.
We were talking about both patches, not just the bedroom.
I'm just talking about the bedroom. I'm discarding the living room. I saw the living room, the tear in the living room. And who knows, maybe your dog started it and her dog went over it. Well, that might be a good idea. I'd like a little taste of that. That's a possibility, but certainly not in your bedroom. What's the cost of the new carpeting in her bedroom, former bedroom only?
The landlord just gave us the estimate for the complete and full bedroom, living room.
The
It's all one
whole
rug.
apartment is being replaced.
No, that's, well,
with
she's
the
not going to pay for that.
677.
She's not going to pay for that. How large is your bedroom?
What would you say? I'm not good with
About a 12 by 12.
12 by 12. So he says.
All right, so probably your bedroom, considering the cost of this carpet, which is not really high-quality carpet for all of those rooms.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so it's probably not more than $150. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 538 on the calendar in the matter of Bates versus Lott. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
All right, Miss Bates, you weren't present when this accident occurred, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Only your son was there and the defendant.
That's correct, Your Honor.
You're the son?
Yes.
Step up, you may have a seat. Tell me your first name.
Joshua.
All right, Joshua. This case is about whether the car hit you or you hit the car.
Yes.
You were riding a bike?
Yes.
And it is your claim that the defendant, while driving his car, with a suspended license, by the way, is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Whether the defendant hit you or you hit him. Tell me when this happened.
This happened May 14th, 2001.
What time of the day, Joshua?
It was about 7:50, I believe.
Morning?
Yeah, or maybe like between 7:40 and 7:50.
Where were you going?
I was on my way to school.
So tell me what happened on May 14th.
I was on my way to school and I got off the bike trails and as I
Slow. Okay. Joshua, very slowly. You were on your way to school.
Yes. And I crossed the intersection and I was driving down the sidewalk on my way to school. And then as I crossed the drive into a gas station, he hit me.
So he hit you from the side?
Yeah, while he hit my bike below me and I was thrown over my handlebars. And then
he hit you from the side, though, is what you're saying?
Yes, I mean, Honor.
And you were driving on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Are you supposed to ride on the sidewalk?
No, I did not believe so, but I wasn't aware of that at the time.
Just a second. My question is, I thought that bikes were not supposed to be on the sidewalk.
I believe that's so.
And you say that when he hit you coming out of the driveway...
No, he was coming into the driveway.
Oh, he was pulling into the gas station?
Yes, Your Honor.
And as he hit you, you fell over the handlebars?
Yes, I flew over the handlebars.
Tell me about your injuries.
I sustained back injuries onto my lower back, and I got bruises on my waist, and I think my arms, and I believe my knee too.
Were you hospitalized, Joshua?
I went to the hospital afterwards.
Were you admitted to the hospital?
Yeah, didn't stay there overnight.
Did not, so you were not admitted?
No.
Okay. Did you receive any follow-up treatment?
Yes, I went to the chiropractors for a month.
Feel better now?
My back still hurts occasionally, like when I do physical activity.
Okay. When you were thrown from the bike, did Mr. Lott stop the car?
I believe he did, but then he got back in after he saw everyone coming around and drove over to get gas, I believe.
Did he speak to you?
I don't recall. Maybe he did.
What do you mean you don't recall?
Because I was kind of like dazed and injured, because I fell unconscious after I hit the ground. So I woke up and I was kind of in a daze, and I don't recall too much.
So you don't remember Mr. Lott speaking to you?
I'm not sure if it was him. I don't really recall at all.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lott, you want to tell me your version of these events, sir?
I was going down the street, and I was going to get some gas. And there's two driveways. And when I got to the first driveway, I happened to see this kid coming across that intersection. He was going pretty good. And I figured, well, that's not a problem, because he just came across. So I started to pull in, and I got halfway up the driveway, and I see the kid again, and I thought, Jesus, he's only about 60 feet away. He's going to hit me. If I continue, this boy's going to hit me. So I stopped my car, took a look in the rearview mirror to see if I was going to get rear-ended, and I wasn't. I gave the boy a chance to swerve to go around me, and he almost made it. He did 2 or 3 swerves and almost pulled it out. He hit the front of my car, and he knocked the license plate off of it, and the car was going this way.
Excuse me.
He hit the,
with
his bicycle, he hit the license plate and knocked it off my car, and I sat there and I watched him fly over my hood, and I was concerned about that. Well, he hit me pretty good. Thank God I was stopped, otherwise he'd been going the other direction or on top of my hood. But anyway, when he hit the ground, went over, I jumped out of the car, and he wanted to get up, and I said, no, stay down. He's laying down. I wanted to talk to the boy a little bit. I didn't want him to move because I've had some training, and I wanted to make sure that there was no concussions, no bleeding, no head injury, no delayed shock. So I started talking to him, and when he felt a little bit, I felt that he was feeling a little bit better. He wanted to sit up. I said, okay, now you can sit up. And at that time, I touched him a couple of times. I looked at his eyes, asked him a few questions. I felt no clamminess for shock, and I was worried about it. Other people started arriving. This is true. A guy wanted to get out of the driveway from the gas station, so I pulled my car up to get out of the way. I saw the cut on his arm, and so when I pulled up, I went inside and got some ice for his arm. When I came back, there was a crowd of people around him, and they were in control. And people kind of pushed me away, and I said, well, he's fine. That's not a problem.
Now, so it's your statement.
He told me he was running late for school, and he apologized to me for going too fast, and he thanked me for stopping the car.
Mr. Lott, so
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
your statement that your car was stopped.
Yes, ma'am.
You were stopped, and he drove directly into your car, knocking off your license plate.
And that's why license plate
Okay.
bent.
All right. Now, Mrs. Bates, you indicated you have a witness.
I do, Your Honor.
I assume this is the witness.
This is.
So step up here, sir. Would you tell me your name?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Steve Thorpe, and I just dropped my son off at school, drove over to the gas station. I parked the car behind the gas station because it was pretty busy that day. Just as I stepped out of the car, I heard the bike and the car meet, and it seemed to me like he didn't stop. He was still pulling into the gas station.
Mr. Lott, don't interrupt him.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but he didn't
Don't,
see anything.
Mr. Lott, don't
Yes, ma'am.
interrupt.
And the car hit him almost like a T-bone. The bike didn't hit the side of the car. The front of the car hit the bike on the side. The license plate flew across the driveway.
That's because he hit a license plate.
In fact, in which
Mr. Lott, you're interrupting, sir.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I just hear a lot of...
Mr. Lott.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't interrupt, sir. Go ahead.
The young man flew over the handlebars, hit his head on the curb, and the defendant did get out of the vehicle first, was the first one to see if he was all right. A whole bunch of other people stopped, including one lady who identified herself as a nurse, basically took over to the sheriffs and the paramedics. Everybody showed up.
Mr. Thorpe, thank you very much. You waited around in order to give your information to the police?
In fact, I waited till everything calmed down, then I handed my driver's license to the sheriff, and he says, well, where's the guy that hit him? I said, he's over there washing his windows on his car. He just got gas.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 15-year-old Joshua Bates says while riding his bike to school, he was run over by motorist Walter Lott. Walter says Joshua ran into him.
Why don't you step up anyway now, Miss Bates, because I have just a couple more questions for your son. Were you going fast that day, Joshua?
I believe I was going in the usual speed on my way to school.
So you weren't going too fast?
I was going maybe 10, 15 miles per hour.
Okay. Now I'll take a look at your pictures, please.
And I also have the amount of property damage, as well as the police report.
I'd like to see that, all of that.
Your Honor, he was also uninsured at the time.
I didn't hear that. Could you see that again?
She said you were uninsured, sir. Is that true?
I don't know. At the time, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I didn't know if I was uninsured or not. As far as I knew, I was insured.
Well, you have a suspended license. What
I had
was
a
it
suspended license, but I didn't know about till later on.
What was it suspended for, Mr. Lott?
It was a case that was pending about old child support or not.
They don't do that without giving you notice.
Well,
They
I
choose to
traveled a
ignore
lot.
the notice, but you get the notice. Mr. Bates, I like when you give me the same statement that you gave to the police, sir.
I believe I said I was trying to brake because I saw him coming in.
No. Let's start with, you told the police that you were riding pretty fast. You told me you were riding, well, normal speed, 10, 15 miles an hour. But the
Yes,
police, you told you were riding pretty fast.
That's the speed I usually ride to school.
Don't try to make things look better for yourself because you're in court, sir. Let me explain something to you. I'm really smart.
Yes.
Right? I'm really smart. And I'm going to read all the papers. So you better keep your story consistent. That doesn't mean you were wrong that day. It just means that if you're trying to make yourself look better here in court than the situation actually was, and if you were at least partially, even if a small part, at fault, you have to acknowledge that you were. Do you understand me, Joshua?
Yes, Your Honor.
So let's go back. Were you riding fast?
I guess you could say that.
No, I don't want to say that. I'm asking you. The day they took the report, they said you told the police that you were riding pretty fast.
Yes.
Now, is that accurate?
Yes.
And you were riding on the sidewalk where you shouldn't have been riding. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, now we got it. That doesn't mean that it was all your fault, but you got to be honest with me. He's not being totally honest with me.
Yes.
But no, you're not. But I expect you to be. He's got a lifelong predisposition. You're just starting out, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Oh, well. This is your statement. He said he was riding pretty fast. As he crossed the north driveway, he saw this car turning into the driveway. So you saw the car turning into the driveway.
Yes, Your Honor.
Using his handbrakes, he tried to stop his bicycle. He failed to do so and collided with the front of his car.
No, that is not entirely
That's
true.
what you told the police.
That's not what happened.
That's what you told the police.
But he was out of it, Your Honor.
I know he was.
delirious.
Listen to me.
No,
Don't
he
tell me
wasn't.
he was out of it. You weren't there.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't there.
Your Honor, I did not collide with the front of his car.
Let me explain something to you, sir. According to put the license plate down. The license plate could have come off, Mr. Lott. Put him down. It could have come off, sir.
Pardon?
Listen to me. You're not having trouble hearing me. Nobody has trouble hearing me, Mr. Lott.
I needed my right ear.
Okay, well then listen carefully
I
with
am.
your right ear. The license plate could have come off if you hit him or he hit you.
It wouldn't have been bent if I hit him.
How?
On this side.
You have an expert witness to testify as to that, sir?
Do we need one?
We sure do.
Well-
Because I don't know what your license plate looked like beforehand. It looks like it's seen a lot of damage to me. Now be quiet before you get yourself into more trouble, Mr. Lott. I'm working on
Here's
you.
the tire marks where you hit
I'm going to
me.
give you 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to be a very unhappy man. Now, you saw him before you were crossing the driveway.
I know as I was coming into the driveway, and then as I was getting to the end of the driveway, he plowed into the side of me.
Joshua,
Yes, Your Honor.
I asked you one question. I said you saw him before the accident, because that's what you said to the police.
I believe so, Your Honor.
What do you mean you believe so?
I don't know because.
Well, you don't know. Well, I'm reading that I have to rely on what you told the police immediately.
The police officer.
Joshua, that doesn't mean that it's 100% your fault. Now, you and your mother would like me to say it was all his fault. It's possible that that's not true. It's possible that part of it was your fault. So I have to apportion financial responsibility. So I don't want you to tailor your testimony to what you think is the most favorable here in court, because I have your statement to the police that was very clear, not as a result of having a fuzzy mind. You said you tried to use your handbrakes.
Yes, I did. Right when he plowed into me, basically.
When he plowed into you. Yes. You've got it all down pat, Joshua. You are not impressing me, sir.
I'm not sure. What?
Yeah, I got it. I would suggest that you be quiet. You're driving with a suspended driver's license, and usually when a car hits something other than a car, it's usually their fault, Mr. Lott. Yes, you did.
Hit me. Here's the tire marks from his bike hitting me.
Now let me tell you what I do not believe, Mr. Lott. I do not believe that you stopped your car and that your car was standing in a stationary position and this young man came and slammed into your stopped car. I do not believe that, sir.
We all said it. He said it, he said it, and I said it.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Here's the
Maybe you
proof of
weren't
it.
listening with your good ear. Nobody on this side said that your car was stopped and he hit you.
I did not say that.
Nobody said it, except in your mind.
Can I have the deputy show you this? And show you the tire marks on here where you ran into me?
What I want you to do is I want you to forget about that.
Oh, okay.
Good. Forget about that piece of evidence. You've already showed it to me 4 times.
Ignore it.
The last part of the police report is very interesting. The last part of the police report indicates cause. Based on the statements by both parties, P1 was at fault. That's you. It says in the collision for riding his bicycle on the sidewalk, a violation of 21-650. So after they spoke to you and the witnesses and everybody else, they determined it to be your fault because you read the police report. You handed me the police report.
This is true, but they didn't put it. The police didn't include his statement.
Okay, well, they
he was an
included.
eyewitness.
Let me tell you this. They
No, you
included
said
another
he had
person's
injury?
statement. Mr. Lott, be quiet. They included another person's statement, and the other person's statement was, and I don't think this was you, this was witness, said, witness 1 was walking in the parking lot approximately 75 to 100 feet northwest of the driveway. He saw your son riding his bicycle northbound on the west sidewalk. As your son began to cross the driveway, he saw the defendant begin to turn into the driveway, and he saw your son run into his car.
How could he see that if he was riding across the driveway?
Listen to me.
That's
That's the witness's statement.
Right, but it's conflicting, Your Honor.
Listen to me. At the end of all of the people that they spoke to, and I heard him, they said your son was doing the wrong thing. And I'm not suggesting to you that Mr. Lott was not partially at fault. You would like me to believe that he was entirely at fault and fully responsible for what you claim is $5,000 damage. And I'm saying to you is, I believe that there is contributory negligence on your son's part. And if you don't think so, I can't do anything. The police concluded it was all his fault. Now, when did you contact an attorney?
I think it was within the week after Josh.
Within 1 week?
It may have been the following day, but I believe it was within the week. I can't
One
give you a
day
date.
or 1 week. You contacted the law firm of Gerald.
That's correct.
Did Mr. refer you to the chiropractor?
He asked me if Joshua were sore.
I didn't
Yes,
ask you
that's
that
correct.
question. I asked you whether Mr. referred you to the chiropractor.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how often did Mr. suggest you go to the chiropractor?
I'm not sure.
They spoke to me as long as he needed to.
That's not what I asked you. I'm 10 steps ahead of you, madam. You may not get it, but believe me, I'm 10 steps ahead of you. I know the legal game. That's why I'm asking all these questions. Now, after he determined that he wasn't going to take your case, did you ever go to his chiropractor again?
No.
The answer is yes or no. The answer is no. And that is despite the fact that Joshua tells me that he still has some discomfort in his back. Right?
That's correct.
But you stopped going to the chiropractor. You have health insurance?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
What kind of health insurance do you have?
At this time, it's Blue Cross.
Did Blue Cross and Blue Shield pick up the chiropractic care?
We didn't have them at the time. We had MaxiCare.
Yes.
And I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? If you went to a chiropractor, if you went to
I
a
don't know if
doctor...
the attorney was billed or if MaxiCare was billed. I don't know.
So that you had no out-of-pocket expenses. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. When you drive a car, you're supposed to have eyes all around you because you never know when a child is going to come out, Mr. Lott, that you don't expect. A dog will come running across. You're driving a vehicle that weighs 3,000 pounds and you have to have eyes all over. Now, you saw him, so you should have been much more careful than you were. Maybe you thought you could make it. I don't know what the answer is, but you should have been much more careful. That does not absolve Joshua of his responsibility. Joshua was riding his bike where he shouldn't have been. He was riding much too fast, so he is partially responsible for getting hurt. Now, Parents have no out-of-pocket expenses because all of these expenses were absorbed by an attorney. Going to the chiropractor, in all probability, was designed to do nothing more than to facilitate a lawsuit, which turned out to be nothing because there was no insurance, which is why we're here. Now, I think, Mr. Lott, you are partially responsible for his pain and suffering that he suffered, and clearly he was beat up and he was banged up, certainly not to the tune of $5,000. The bicycle suffered a certain amount of damage. That was a couple of $100, and I'm sure that Joshua had a certain amount of discomfort for a while. Is that right, young man?
I still do, Your Honor.
You still do?
Yes.
Should have been more careful.
Yes, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 545 on the calendar in the matter of Stevens versus Ely Ford. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Stevens, it is your claim that the two defendants, one of whom is your brother-in-law, were involved in a shootout in a club parking lot, which caused damage to your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Which one is the brother-in-law? What's your last name, sir?
Owen.
Okay, when did this happen?
January 7th, at about 3:30 in the morning.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I had the misfortune of that morning of going to the clubhouse. It's like an after-hour place that once all the clubs close, we head out and we go to this motorcycle club. And I was standing outside talking with some friends, and these two vehicles pull up. And
What kind of vehicles?
one was a later model Plymouth and a late model Cadillac. And they parked about 30 feet away from one another. I informed the gentleman that they were going to have to move the car because the clubhouse is on a very, very narrow street. And whenever someone parks on one side, there's motorcycles on the other side. So it's hard for traffic to get through. And they don't...
So you told them that they were going to have to move the cars?
Yes. And he said, okay, sure. And so I continued talking with my friends. Some time went by, I say about 15, 20 minutes. There were members from the clubhouse coming out, asking them, could you move the cars? Could you move the cars? And they would say, sure, yeah, I'll move the cars.
But they were in the cars?
Yes.
They remained in the cars?
Yes. So this went on for about, about 40 minutes. And then some more members came out, and they asked the guys to move the cars again. And they said, sure. And they went back in, and they didn't move the cars.
Who went back in?
The other members of the club.
Meanwhile, the two strangers in these two vehicles remained in their cars?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
They had moved, so my brother-in-law came out. He was about to get going here, and I know him.
I don't understand that. You have to explain that to me.
He was about to get after these guys to get them to move the cars. He's kind of like the enforcer there. He's
not true, Your Honor.
Okay.
He's the guy that they want on the gate. He's the guy that makes sure everybody pays. He's the guy that doesn't take any crap off of anybody. So I immediately headed him off. I caught him in the middle of the street before he could approach the gentleman, and we were face to face. And I basically told him, hey, look, man, these guys got guns, man. Don't come out here talking.
How do you know that they had guns?
They showed me guns.
When did they show you the guns?
About the third time that they were asked to move the cars. One of them, the guy, I know him as Big Mike. He stood back and he lifted his shirt.
Stood back how?
He got out of his car, and he stood back, and he said, nobody better, can I swear? He said, nobody better say a thing to my brother. And he pulled up his gun. He said, I'm going to bust a cap in your... So when this happens, I immediately go in and tell some of the other guys, members of the club that are behind the bar, I said, hey, don't come out here talking crazy, man. These guys have guns. Once my brother-in-law came out...
You stopped him and said, don't go over there.
I said, don't go over there, man. We were face to face. He was heading towards me, and I was heading, and I met him in the street. I said, hey, man, look. I put both arms up around him like this, and I was walking him back. I said, let's just go back in here, man, and let this stuff cool down, because these guys are stupid. As we are going, as I'm backing him into the compound, the other defendant, Mr. James Ely, he kind of comes out and kind of walks sideways down the fence with his gun in the air like this, waving it like it's... He came out and he had it up in the air, doing it like this. So I get Peanut in, I get my brother-in-law in, and then Ely kind of walks in behind us. Okay, we're all inside the compound.
So now you're all in the club.
Right, we're all back in, there's a little compound area. We're back inside the fence. It's a fenced-off area. Okay, about a minute and a half goes by, and I hear, pow, pow. And then I hear Mr. James say, oh, I've been hit. And then he turns and he starts firing. Just shooting wildly at random, just firing a 9mm Glock, just shooting it. And then I see my brother-in-law. I didn't even know he had a gun until I saw him shooting the gun. So I'm out there in the streets with two guys with guns, and I don't have one.
So your car was hit by gunfire?
Yes, ma'am.
So how are you certain that it was either of the two defendants' guns that caused the damage to your car?
Well, the guys were shooting in they were shooting towards the clubhouse, and so they were returning fire towards the guys.
Towards your car?
Right, because the guy that shot Mr. James, his car was parked parallel to mine.
Where were you shot, Mr. James?
I was shot in the chest on the right side, went in the right side, out underneath here, and in my arm. The bullet is still in my arm. I'm right-handed.
Either of you have licenses for these pistols?
I didn't have a pistol. That's why I do have a concealed weapons permit, but I didn't have a weapon that night. I got a police report here with 5 witnesses say what happened.
Let me see the report.
And none of them ever said I had a gun. And the way he's describing the whole situation is totally untrue.
Well, let me hear your version of it.
Okay. The situation up till us coming out the gate is about true. We go across the street. Nathaniel's ahead of me. He's talking to the guys. I walk over there. All of a sudden, I see one of his friends pull a gun out behind Nathaniel. I said, no, you can't do that. By that time, there's a crowd of people out in the streets looking at this. So we back up and walk into the yard. It's a fenced-off yard. We're standing in there maybe 2-3 minutes later. I look through the gate. It's a cyclone fence. I look in the gate and I see something shiny. And it's a guy with a gun poking through the gate. And he shot me in the left arm, then in the right chest. I go down on the ground, and all I hear is some gunfire. And these guys across the street is shooting up the world. And where his car is parked was, how can you say, if we were facing east, his car was north of that.
All right. Sometime earlier, before this gunfire erupted, you told me that you saw people who you considered suspect, dangerous enough to go and warn everybody. Listen to me carefully, sir. One of them exited the car and pulled out a gun from his waistband. My question to you is, why at that moment did you not immediately go into the clubhouse, call the police, and indicate someone had menaced you with a gun?
Well, that was I'm not a member of the club, okay? I don't have access to a cell phone or anything. This is why I went in to tell these guys.
No, Mr. Stevens.
Why didn't they call the cops?
You're just shifting responsibility, sir.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Clarence Stevens says during a gun battle outside a biker bar, his car was shot up. He says Nathaniel Ford and James Ely owe for repairs.
You saw them get out of the car, one of them, pull out a gun, threaten you, anybody else, whoever else was there. You can't tell me you're not a club member, so you couldn't go and use the phone. Well, that's ridiculous.
This is why I told you.
He has free access to the clubhouse. We know who Clarence is. He come in and out. We talk and socialize.
Your Honor, I don't come to the club like this and get on the phone and do all these things. I don't want them to sit here and make it seem like I'm like a brother to these guys. That's not the case at all.
Mr. Stevens, instead of trying to anticipate what you're going to say, why don't you listen to me? When you saw this person who was clearly out for no good because it ended up him shooting somebody, why didn't you go in and call the police? And don't tell me you're not a club member and you didn't have a cell phone. I don't want to hear that.
I didn't have any access to the phone, Your Honor. I was outside talking to my friend. I went in to tell them not to come out. I said, these guys out here have guns, thinking that maybe they would call the cops.
Why didn't you call the police?
I didn't have a phone, Your Honor.
Mr. Stevens, you didn't have a phone, so fix your car. I don't know whose guns caused the damage to your car.
Can I say something? Your Honor, look, this kind of stuff, you see this picture? Just last week on the 10th, these kinds of things have been happening for the last 14 months. This lady's dead, Your Honor. She's got 3 kids. You see what I'm saying? This kind of stuff goes on. Nobody called the cops down there. Then these guys are irresponsible.
I beg your pardon, I was on the phone.
Just a second, Mr. Stevens. This is a court, so I have to fix responsibility. And I am not saying that any actions that they involved themselves in on that day was appropriate. Certainly, even according to your complaint, before there was any gunfire, exchange of gunfire. This gentleman was shot, and then gunfire erupted back and forth. So I want you to listen to me very carefully, sir. Who did you go to the club with that night?
Myself.
Okay. So it's 3:30 in the morning. You've already been to another club. How did you get to the club?
I drove.
And I assume that you weren't intoxicated?
No.
Perfect. So if you see a guy with a gun around the location where, according to you, people get shot, people get killed, you get in your car, you go home, you call the police. If you're concerned, if you're a concerned citizen, that's what you do. But you stayed for 40 minutes. So you see this...
I didn't go inside.
What?
I didn't go inside except for to warn them.
You stayed for 40 minutes.
But I was out. I went in to tell them that the guys had guns, and then I came back outside, Your Honor.
Why?
I was getting ready to go.
No, getting ready to go is not going. You say, I'm leaving. I've warned you guys. You do what you want to do. I'm getting in my car and going. But if you stay outside, and what happened was he used the gun. And then there was an exchange of gunfire. I can't hold them responsible. They may have behaved badly, but you behaved irrationally by staying. I can't help you, Mr. Stevens. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They were his friends out there with the gun disturbing everything.
I had no idea there was going to be a shootout.
He honestly saw through his little lies and so on and everything.
He could have got killed at the club.
It went from $1,700 to fix his car, and next thing I'm looking at paperwork, $2,400, you know. So, yes, it was about money.
I just asked for enough to get the car fixed. I didn't ask for any punitive damages or anything of that sort.
Oh, well, you got all the responsibility. Don't work that way. Life is not that way.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of England versus Martin. Step forward, please.
43-year-old restaurant porter Greg England is suing the mother of his child, 29-year-old cook Heather Martin, for 5 months' worth of their daughter's Social Security checks. Heather says she kept the money because Greg wasn't paying his child support.
Mr. England, according to your complaint, you and the defendant have a child together. Child, a little girl?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's 5 years old.
She's now 7, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, the child receives Social Security disability checks each month as a result of the fact that her mother is legally blind. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
There came a time when the child came into your custody, and it is your claim that the defendant kept the child's Social Security checks for 5 months while the child was in your physical custody. That's your complaint.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did the child always live with her mother?
She lived with her mother, Your Honor, all the way up until 2000 when I had a weekend visit. She came to me. And
when in 2000?
July of 2000.
Go ahead.
Actually, Your Honor, it's June 10th of 2000.
Anyway, Your Honor, upon the child coming on her visit, putting on her swimsuit, I had noticed a bruise mark exceeding past the swimsuit part. I have a picture here.
I'll see it.
I then notified the Columbus Police Department to have a report made in my home, and from that point on, I took her to Children's Hospital where this picture was taken.
All right, and I gather from the papers that I read that the child was physically abused by a male friend of yours. Is that right, Ms. Martin?
Yes, ma'am. That was the original claim, yes. The case had actually been bumped down to a neglect case.
Against you?
Yes.
What date, sir, were you awarded custody?
Full custody was on the 17th of 2001 of August.
Did you receive any Social Security checks from June 10th of 2000 to August of 2001?
March of 2001 is when I started receiving them.
What was the amount of each check that you received for the child?
$312.
Now, when you received those checks, Ms. Martin, what did you do with them?
I spent those checks on school clothes, snacks and food for her. I also used that on electric, gas, phone bills, because of the fact I wasn't receiving any kind of child support from him for the whole 4 years that I was supporting her.
Okay. Mr. England.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there ever a time that you lived with Miss Martin?
We lived together from 93 to 96.
From 1996 until June of 2000. Were you under a child support order, sir?
No, ma'am. We had a verbal agreement to $50 per paycheck or 100 per paycheck because I got paid bi-weekly.
Do you have any proof, sir, that you actually paid this money?
No, ma'am, I don't. I didn't have any receipts from her.
How many times did you give her this money, sir, over the course of the 4 years?
Every other week.
That's
Are you
incorrect, Your Honor.
testifying, Mr. England, under oath, sir, that for the entire 4-year period you gave her no less than $200 a month?
That is correct, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
Well, why wouldn't you, Miss Martin, if he wasn't paying you, as you agreed, why wouldn't you pursue child support?
Actually, in May of 2000, I got tired of asking for money all the time. I mean, I even have letters here that he had left for me at my door saying that he wasn't going to pay me any money. I mean, if you'd like that, I can give them
Oh, I'd
to
like
you.
to see anything, because he has no proof that he gave you any money.
Here's
But he
these two.
testified that he did. Oh, Mr. England, this looks as if there had been ongoing problems with regard to your seeing your daughter. Did that have anything to do with money, Mr. England?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me
for
what it
over
had to
6
do-
months, she absolutely refused. In 90 to 99, she refused, and for 6 months to allow me to see the daughter.
That's Why?
Have any contact with her at
Tell
all.
me why, Mr. England.
At
Were you
that time,
paid-
I was not working.
So you were not paying any child support. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you told me before, sir, that each month from 1996 until June of 2000 you had paid regularly $200 a month, that was not true.
With the exception of that 6-month time, yes, ma'am.
So you didn't pay for 6 months.
Your Honor, actually, it was only 3 months that she was not allowed to visit him.
Why wasn't she allowed to visit him?
Because I wasn't being paid any money that he agreed to.
You stopped your daughter from seeing him for a 3-month period because he wasn't paying child support. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that I assume that the remainder of the time he was paying child support.
Actually, ma'am, he was not paying child support.
Okay, then I'm not getting into it. You know, I had a certain amount of sympathy for you, Miss Martin, when I read your answer and you said in your sworn statement, and I'm going to read the last line of it, it says, Greg has some nerve suing me for 5 checks when he didn't give me more than $50 in all the years that she lived with me. Well, that's not true. That's what you wrote. But that's not true. There was a period of time, he says he wasn't working, whether that or not, you chose to say, you can't see your daughter because you're not sending me support. That's what you're telling me. Wrong! Child's right to see non-custodial parent does not rest with the issue of support. That's between 2 adults.
I understand that, Your Honor.
Well, you understand that, but what you did was you just told me that you didn't let her see her father because he wasn't paying you support. You just told me that. It's become an easier case. All right, 5 times 312 is 1560. Judgment for the plaintiff. Don't ever use a child as a tool in a dispute between the parents. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 586 on the calendar in the matter of Jackson versus Woodland. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Jackson, the defendant is a former girlfriend of yours. According to your complaint, she had a hissy fit one day and smashed your car with a brick.
Yes.
You want her to repair the damage she did to the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
There doesn't seem to be an issue, Miss Woodland, that you did, in fact, have Sid hissy fit and throw a brick at his car. You're going to tell me why in a minute. Your defense is that you paid for the damage.
Yes, I did.
Okay. When did this happen?
One day I was at the house, Your Honor.
Give me the date.
3/28/2001.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was sitting at the house, Your Honor, and I heard banging and knocking on my door. You know, I looked outside, I didn't see anybody. Then I got a phone call from my neighbor upstairs. And he told me someone was downstairs banging and knocking on my door, so I looked out again, and it was Miss Woodland outside. And I didn't want to let her in because, I mean, she was knocking kind of violently, so.
Had you stopped seeing her at that point?
Yeah, I hadn't seen her for a while.
That's a
How
lie.
long is a while?
A long while.
That's a lie.
Shh. Don't, I'm going to get to you.
Okay.
Okay, so she's downstairs banging at your door. You didn't want to come out. What happened next?
I didn't open the door. I told my neighbor upstairs, I'm like, man, look out for my car because I know her. You know, she'll do something to my car. She's done stuff before in the past and, you know, damage to my vehicle.
So, come on. Let's speed it up. I've got other things to do today.
Okay.
Come. Come on.
And so I didn't let her in.
I know you didn't let her in. Now let's get to the car. She's banging. She says, I want to come in. You don't let her in.
Miss Woodland left out the driveway and pulled in front of the house next door.
No.
She got out the car, she picked up a brick, and she smashed my windshield.
Okay. Now, Miss Woodland, you don't deny that you did that.
No, I don't deny that, no.
Okay, tell me why you did it. I'm just curious.
Okay, because Cornell had called me at my job earlier that part of the day. He had called me up there. He wanted me to meet him at his house because we were casually dating. We were still sleeping around with each other. So he called me over there.
More information than I need.
Okay. Well, he called me over there to his house because I was supposed to meet him over there. He told me he'll be there around 6:30. So I thought I'd get there a little bit early and got there around 6:15. I came to the front, I started knocking on the door, the window. He never answered, so I went around to the side and rang the doorbell and started knocking. He did come to the door and ask me who it was. And I told him, it's me, you know. He got smart. He had cursed at me through the door. So I got mad because I figured, okay, he must got somebody up in there. So what I did was I walked out the driveway and picked up a brick. When I came back in there, I threw it at his windshield and I cracked his windshield. The next day, I got in contact with Mr. Jackson over the phone. Mr. Jackson told me he did not want to see me anymore, that it was over, that I had to pay for my damages. I told him that, okay, I know what I did was wrong. I will pay you for it. I ended up giving him $350 in cash in Cornell's hand. I didn't think it wasn't no big deal after that, because after that, we ended up seeing each other again. I came over there again, seeing him.
Did she give you $350, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. I did give you money, Cornell.
The only money Miss Woodland gave me was for prior damages that she had did to my car before this, way before this.
Okay. When did she give you that money?
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when she did the damage to my other car.
But she gave you money.
So this is not the first time this has happened, Your Honor.
So she did give you money for that damage.
Right.
But she didn't give you money for
She
this
didn't
damage.
give me any money for the damage to this vehicle.
Okay,
no.
why wouldn't I give you money if we didn't have a problem with it any other time, Cornell? Giving you money. I mean, why would I just sit up there and not give you money for this car? That's crazy.
I want to explain something carefully to you. I control my space. This is all my space. When I tell you to stop talking, you stop talking. And you don't speak to him. You only speak to me. Do we understand each other?
That's understandable.
Do you have any proof that you withdrew from a bank $350?
No, because I gave it to him in his hand. I gave Cornell cash in his hand.
Why don't you pay attention to my question? Do you have
no,
any
I do not
proof
have any proof
that you
no.
withdrew $350
no.
from your bank?
No.
Okay, very good. Let me see the estimate for the damage to the car.
Your Honor, I have 3 estimates.
I see. Next time, Mr. Jackson, you pick a girlfriend, I suggest you pick a girlfriend who, when she gets angry, goes home and sulks. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The cheapest estimate that you have looks like, what, $785?
Well, there's also scratches in the paint job, too, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
Your Honor, I never did that.
What?
I never did that. All I did was crack the windshield.
No, you didn't do it. The brick did it.
Yeah,
no,
well,
I never
listen,
did.
Listen
anyway,
to me,
I never
Miss
did
Woodland.
that.
Miss Woodland, pay careful attention. Did the brick go inside the car when you threw it?
No, it did not. It fell off on the side.
Just answer my question.
No, it fell off on the side.
Before it fell off onto the side, it hit the car. So there are 2 estimates here. One's for the paint and one is for the windshield. Is that right?
Exactly.
Miss Woodland?
Yes.
A, I don't have any proof that you actually paid him any money for this car. You should have brought proof that you went to your bank, withdrew $350 in cash.
Okay,
and
but
to give
I didn't
it to
think it was going to be any problem. I didn't think it was going to be any problem.
Well, there is a problem. There is a problem. You can't have a hissy fit on somebody else's property. If you're angry at something, you go home and you sulk. Go out, you know, have a margarita. But what you don't do is take out your anger and frustration on somebody else's property, and you seem to have a penchant for doing that because you did it a couple of years ago. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $785.92. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We were still seeing each other, and he ended up lying.
I'm here to represent all men that had a woman damage their stuff.
Probably another woman damaged it.
Take them to court.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Little versus Dinehart. Step forward, please.
26-year-old store manager Rick Little is suing his ex-fiancée, 21-year-old waitress Tanisa Dinehart, for the down payment on a car and for the return of an engagement ring.
Mr. Little, Miss Dinehart is your former girlfriend.
Correct.
According to your complaint, not only your girlfriend, but your fiancée. You broke up. You want a ring back that you gave to her that you say is an engagement ring. And in addition, while you were together, you purchased a car together, according to you.
Correct.
While Ms. Deinhardt has the car in her possession, and it was primarily for her use. She made the monthly payments. You claim that you put down half of the down payment. And
Correct.
you have no objection to her keeping the car, but you want the down payment that you put down on the car.
Yes.
Right? Defendant said it was always her car. You never put any money into the car, and that the ring was never an engagement ring, but a gift. And aside from that, it was stolen. All right. Did you ever live together?
Yes, we did.
When?
For about 2 months, February, March. We didn't live together that long.
And when was the car purchased?
It was purchased in February.
While you were living together?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I believe so. I might be a little off when we were living together, the exact dates.
Did you have your own car at the time?
Yes, I did.
So this car was being purchased for the defendant?
No, we were set to be married. I have a summer car, a car that I cannot use all season long. So it was purchased for us to both use. We didn't intend at first, before the purchase, for it to be that way. She wanted to get a nicer car than what we intended to get in the beginning. So
I'm not following you, Mr. Little. I mean, you're not being clear. You're
okay,
trying to
in the very beginning,
you're trying to tailor your answers to your position, and I suggest to you that why don't you just tell me the flat-out truth,
okay.
and then it'll be easier. You won't get as confused, sir.
Okay.
You had a car.
Yes.
Did the defendant have a car?
Yes, but hers, it broke down.
So she didn't have a car.
Correct.
You know, it's getting easier?
Yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Little says ex-fiancée Tanisa Deinhardt owes for the down payment on a car and for the return of an engagement ring. Tanisa says Rick and his friends stole the ring from her bag.
Tell me what happened at the dealership.
Well, she picked out a car that was more than what we anticipated, so I had to help out with it.
Tell me
And
about how you helped out.
I gave her $1,500.
You gave it to her in check form?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I did not.
Where did you get the $1,500 from?
I got the money from my parents.
Did they ask you what it was for?
Not really. My dad never questions me when I need anything from him, no.
So it was a gift from your parents?
Correct.
When you gave it to her, can you tell me about the discussion?
Yes, I made it clear that it was more...
No, I want you to tell me what you said to her, not what you made clear. I want you to tell me what you said.
I said that this is more car than we could afford, and that I will put down half the money and the loan. We did the loan in both our names, but she is to make the monthly payments on it, and I would take care of other expenses.
Now, we're in the month of February, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you drive this car during the winter time?
Yes, I did.
How often did you drive it?
Probably...
Never.
Definitely not never. Probably once a week, I would say.
So maybe
when
you
she
drove...
moved out, she primarily used
When
it.
did she move out?
March. I don't know the exact date she moved
So
out.
you drove the car maybe 8 times.
Probably, yes.
Now let's get to this ring.
Okay.
When did you give her the ring?
I gave her the ring in February 2001.
When she moved in?
Yes.
Tell me about the ring.
It had 3 little diamonds on the side of it and one big diamond in the middle, and it was a white gold ring.
And what did you say to the defendant when you gave her the ring?
I asked her to marry me.
And what did she say?
She said yes.
And what happened to the ring?
Well, when she moved out, we still were trying to work it out. I mean, it was not going good. And at first, I know she had it for a while, and then as it started things getting rockier with us, it started disappearing. She started saying it was lost, and then she wouldn't give it back to me, and she had about, 5 different stories of what's going on with the ring, which I started realizing she's going to keep it no matter what. Break up or not, she's going to keep it.
You asked her for it.
Correct.
All right, Miss Deinhardt, now it's your turn. Who put the money down on the car?
I did.
From where?
I had a tax return that same month that I got for it. The tax return was $2,700, and I have proof of that if you'd like to see it.
I would. You put the refund in the bank. Is that right?
No, when I got my check, I just did I electronically filed, and I picked up the check, and I cashed it. And we went down to the car dealership a few days later, and I just used cash. But I do have a receipt from that
She
for
didn't have that
$3,000.
much cash, I can tell you that much.
I did.
Okay. Now I want you to listen to me very carefully. Did Mr. Little give you any cash towards the purchase of the car?
None. None at all.
You don't remember me giving you money?
Don't speak.
$1,500?
Don't speak to her. If you did, it really doesn't make any difference, Mr. Little. I find that it wasn't a loan. This was not a loan, sir. You were planning on getting married. She needed a car. According to you, if I believe you, you called Mama and said, Mama, I need money, and your parents always help you out, so they gave you $1,500. You gave her $1,500 to buy the car.
Mm-hmm.
So what?
And
That's not a loan.
Well,
That's not a loan.
I made sure my name was on everything.
So?
Just
That's why I always tell people, unless you're married, don't buy things in joint names. You don't expect me to get involved in valuation of this car. It was never intended to be your car. It was always intended to be her car. She can't sell it without you. I mean, the smartest thing that you can do with regard to this car is to ask her very nicely to take your name off the title of the car so that in case she gets into an accident, you won't be held responsible. That would be the smartest thing you could do. So forget the car. But now let's get back to this ring. Did Mr. Little describe the ring accurately?
Yeah.
So it was a diamond ring?
Yes.
That people would assume is an engagement ring?
Yes.
So where is it?
I don't have it.
That's not what I asked you. I said, where is it?
We went on a trip. We went to Seattle together, and
When?
it was the summer of 2001. We were kind of rocky then still, and on the way over there, I called him on my cell phone, and he said, do you have your ring on? And I said, yes. He said, take it off. And I said, why? He said, because I told all my football friends that we weren't together anymore, and I don't want it to look like we're together anymore. His friends wanted me to look available because they all liked me. So, I know.
That's not anything I said.
So, I get to his house. I didn't have anywhere to put the ring. I get to his house, and I put my ring inside my makeup bag. Picked him up. A couple of his friends, their car broke down. They rode with us the rest of the way. I didn't even check on the ring until I got back and noticed that it was missing out of my case. He called me. The trip didn't go well. We didn't get along at all after his statement that he made to me. And he called me about a week later and
Why
said,
did you go at all?
I wanted to work it out.
Go ahead.
He called me about a week later and said, do you have the ring? And I said, no, I noticed it missing the day that I got back. And he said, well, where is it? And I said, well, I don't have it. I assumed that he took it because he's done that before. He's taken the ring away from me, given it back. He takes it away whenever we get in a fight. He just kind of uses it against me. I just assumed that he had taken it out of my jewelry bag because I didn't think anybody else would have stolen it. Then he comes back and said, I saw one of my friend's girlfriends with the ring on her finger. And I said, well, I told you it was either you or your friends that stole it. I don't have it, you know. And he said, well, I know it's her. And he asked me, I got my pictures taken and I had the ring in the picture. And he said, well, can you bring me a picture with the ring on so that I can compare it to the one that she was wearing? I brought that to him, and then I never heard anything.
That's a really interesting story for you to have made up. Did you ever have a conversation with her, Mr. Little, that you think you saw one of your friend's girlfriends wearing a ring that looked like hers?
No.
You never had a conversation like that with her?
No, I didn't. She at one point had me actually believing that
that's not what I asked you. Did you ever ask her for a picture of herself wearing the ring so that you could compare it?
I've always had pictures of her with the ring and everything.
So
I've
you
had
never
pictures.
asked her for
No.
that? She has a really lively imagination.
No. She knows I have a picture with
She
her
has a
with the ring,
really
so she's-
lively imagination. When you went on this trip in August, did you in fact ask her to take the ring off?
No. She just would not wear it around me, maybe for fear that I might take it or whatever, because we weren't getting along that great.
Oh, that wouldn't be a fear that you had unless you had taken the ring before. Had you ever taken this ring back from her before?
We have been in, I've never physically taken it, no. That thing's been on her finger. We have been in fights bad enough where I have asked I have asked for the ring. Yes, when I've...
And have you taken it back?
No,
Has she
I never,
given it to
I was
you?
never took it back from her.
Now, you ultimately broke up in August.
Yes.
Is that right?
Mhm.
So can you tell me why you didn't ask for the ring back in August?
I've asked for it back many times. In August, I probably did too. I just knew there was a point after a few months past March that she just wasn't going to give it back no matter what. We weren't.
Do you live in the same town?
Yes, we do.
Have you seen her wearing the ring since August?
Since August, have I seen her? I haven't seen her really much at all since August.
Well, you have mutual acquaintances. Did any of your acquaintances see her wearing the ring and report that to you?
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact.
Really?
But I don't know if they can prove it was.
No, I'm just asking
the
you.
ring
So
that I bought.
They reported to you that she was wearing a diamond ring. Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Little, I don't believe a word that you say. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 8 on the calendar in the matter of Vittori versus Silva. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. Vittori, how many years had you and the defendant been living together?
10 years.
Not married?
No.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
8 and 3.
When did you separate?
February 20th.
According to the defendant, you put her out of the house. Is that right?
Yes, I did. There's a good reason.
Just a second. Where are the children?
I have the 8-year-old. She has a 3-year-old.
Are you currently involved in any custody proceeding
Yes, we
involving
are.
the children?
Yes.
Okay. Now, according to your complaint, the defendant owes you some money.
Yes.
That she signed your name to some checks and something about $1,000 for 3 boxing tickets that you told her to buy, and she didn't buy the tickets. The defendant says she doesn't owe you any money, that as a matter of fact, you are holding her clothes hostage. You threw her out, she couldn't even get her clothes. So far correct?
Yeah.
All right. What does she owe you money for, sir?
She owes me $1,000 for 3 boxing tickets that I gave her.
Well, you didn't give her the boxing tickets.
I gave
you
her $1,000.
When?
Sometime in October.
Your Honor, if I may, that's wrong.
I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
Yes?
And now she says that she doesn't have no boxing tickets of mine.
Now she says she doesn't have the tickets.
She has the tickets.
So you want the tickets.
Yes, I do.
Okay. What else?
I gave her permission to make checks out for the bills. Now I found out she's making checks to her bookstore that she works at. She's making checks out to her sister-in-law. I don't give her permission for that.
You lived together as a family for 10 years, is
Yes,
that
we
right?
did.
Did you have one bank account?
It was under my name.
Okay, his name was under. You had one bank account.
Yes.
Did you work?
Yes, I did.
Did you work?
Yes.
No, she didn't. She just got a job about 6 months ago.
Okay, so prior to the 6 months, she was staying home. Pay attention. Don't
Okay.
shake your head no, because you haven't heard my question yet.
Okay.
Prior to 6 months ago, she was staying home with the children while you worked.
Yes.
So she was the homemaker.
Something like that, yes.
So what do you mean she only had permission to write checks for the bills? What does that mean?
I told her to make checks out for pay the
What do you mean you
bills.
told her?
To pay
What does
the
that mean you
bills.
told her?
I
You're
asked her
living
to pay the
together for
bills.
10 years. You have 2 children together. If she wants to make out payment to a bookstore, she makes out a payment to a bookstore. She wants to write a check for this, she writes a check for this. That's what you do when you have one bank account and you're living together as a family for 10 years. Who put you in charge?
It's under my name.
I don't care. I don't care. Who put you in charge?
I
You
guess
think
I-
you're the only one who's working?
Yes.
No! No, Mr. Vittori.
Okay.
You don't think it's work staying home and taking care of 2 babies?
Oh, believe me, yes, it is.
Well, where was her compensation? Did you pay her every week?
No, I just paid the rent.
No.
car.
Did you pay her every week?
Well, yeah, we went out. I treated
No.
her.
Did you pay her every week for her work?
No, I guess not.
She took care of the house. You took care of the work. You didn't like her job as a homemaker, sir? You don't make another baby with her. You have an 8-year-old, then you had a 3-year-old who woke up in the middle of the night when they had to be fed. Who?
The mother.
Right, that was her job.
Yes.
So if you have a job, and if you want to treat this as a business, and she's staying home and taking care of the house, then you pay her every week. You didn't pay her every week. You had one bank account. You lived as a family. You chose not to get married for whatever reason. That's it. Stop complaining to me that she wrote checks out. I'm not interested after 10 years. And 2 children later. Whose idea was it, by the way, not to get married?
I guess both of ours. Under 5.
Was it your idea?
In the beginning of the relationship, I did want to get married. He didn't want to.
Well, that's convenient. That gives you control. Wrong. Do you have his boxing tickets, by the way? Listen to me. Listen. You have his boxing tickets?
No, I don't, because they were purchased by my mother and my sister-in-law, so I don't even have them.
I want you to get them. He gave you the money for them?
No, he did not. He was supposed to give the money to my mother. And
According to my mother, she has not received any money for it.
I have her taped.
I'd like to hear it.
He's actually not supposed to be taking
I have
me.
a restraining order.
Listen to me. You want to change your answer?
No.
You sure?
Don't speak to her. Speak to me. Go
You want
ahead.
me to play it?
Yeah.
One more thing. The tickets for the De La Hoya fight, the tickets that I bought for the De La Hoya fight.
What you do with that situation, what you just mentioned, I want to see what you're going to do with that. If you're going to piss me off, you can say goodbye to your tickets. I'm waiting till after March 18th to see what you do. Because basically, I'm going in there to share my custody with my kids with you because you are their father. But if you take it further and you want to do that, then we'll see who's playing who.
Vanessa, I bought 3 tickets out of my own money for the Oscar De La Hoya tickets. And you will not give me my tickets.
I'm waiting to see what your sick is going to do March 18th. If we walk out of there with smiles on our faces, you can guarantee you'll get your ticket.
Okay, Vanessa.
Pissed off at each other, don't even do it.
Vanessa, see, that's what I'm saying. We can work these.
Okay. Get him his tickets. Do you understand?
Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Get him his
but-
tickets.
Your Honor.
What?
He has taken me to CPS for my daughter.
I don't want to hear from
my
you.
8-year-old daughter. He has poisoned her. He has made her turn against me. We are in a big battle. He has not given me my clothes.
Miss Silva, pay attention to me. I deal with one thing at a time, and I don't like when people try to lie to me. Do you understand? I said to you, get him his tickets. Do you understand?
I do.
Good. Now,
Can I say one more thing?
Speak not.
Okay.
She's going to get you your tickets.
Thank you.
Now, look at me, Mr. Vittori. You have her clothes.
No, I don't.
Where are they?
I have a police report. She came into my house, and this is all the stuff that she took from the house. Camcorder, $500 cash, my daughter's money, $156, and all of her clothes. And then she didn't take all of her clothes, so I had her come back with a police officer. She took 5 bags of clothes again, and she forgot a couple of more, and I brought another bag to my lawyer's office.
What clothes do you say he still has at your house, ma'am?
Everything. I took out a bag of clothes that had a bag full of Dallas Cowboy t-shirts that did not belong to me.
That's false.
And clothes when I was 240 pounds that I could not wear.
That's false.
Mr. Vittori, listen to me very carefully, sir. I want to know if you have any clothes of Miss Silva's.
I gave them to my lawyer.
Did you throw away any clothes?
No, I did not. No, I did not. So help me God, I did not.
Did you take any cash out of the house?
No, I did not.
Well, it's a police report. I'm just telling you what the police report says.
Well, no, I didn't. I
Did you
walked
take
out
a
of there.
camcorder?
No, I did not.
My daughter says the camcorder is at his house because they went over there. My daughter even told me.
My house?
Stand up here. What's your name?
George Losimo.
Mr. Dosimo.
Mm-hmm.
You have in your possession the question boxing tickets?
Yeah, I have the boxing tickets, but not
Can
a
I have them,
camcorder.
please?
I don't have them on me. I have ticket
Empty your
stubs.
pockets.
1 ticket stub, number 2,
Can
which
I
are
see
in the
those?
sister-in-law.
3.
Can I please see those?
They're in her mother's name and her sister-in-law's name. If I may, Your Honor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Mr. Vittori recently filed bankruptcy. How was he able to pay for $1,000 worth of boxing
He gave her
tickets?
the money. Be quiet.
Okay.
He gave her the money.
Larry Vittori says the mother of his children, Vanessa Silva, stole money as well as 3 tickets to the Oscar De La Hoya Fernando Vargas fight. Vanessa says Larry won't return her clothes.
Now, I only have 2 tickets here. Where's the third one?
Those are
not tickets. They're ticket stubs.
You have to get them.
Thank you.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get them.
Your Honor, there's a box of yearbooks and things that mean more to me than my clothes, and he's claiming that somebody went in there and took that.
Mr. Vittori, I want to explain something. You may be angry. However, you have 2 children together.
I understand.
And hopefully the hostility will end. Now, you may not like the fact she's got a new boyfriend. You may not like the fact that you feel as if she deserted you emotionally. Whatever the situation may be, you made 2 children together, and you're not supposed to make their lives miserable. So you would be very wise, sir, to start this process of healing, putting a period and moving on. But certainly, if you have her photographs, her yearbooks, then what you're supposed to do is put them together, get them over to your lawyers, have your lawyer call her lawyer and say, look, here's her stuff. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Don't be flip with me. That's the right thing to do for your children. And you're not supposed to talk badly of each other to the children. 2 innocent people don't suffer for what 2 guilty people did. That's the rule when you make children, whether you're married or not.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
My kids are suffering. The mother came after us with a baseball bat. She's been abusing my 8-year-old daughter. I'm taking custody of her now. I'm trying to get the 3-year-old away from her, too.
You picked her.
Exactly.
If you
My
picked
mistake.
her and made 2 children with her, what you're not supposed to do is exacerbate things and make it worse for your children. You concentrate on what the important thing is. If the important thing is that you believe that their mother is less of an appropriate caretaker than you are, concentrate on that. Don't concentrate on crap. Get her back the stuff. You are directed to get those 3 tickets and give him back the tickets, because I'm telling you the same thing. You're not supposed to use wrong things to make a point. If you have a legitimate case for custody of your children, that will prevail. You're not supposed to act like a baby, and he's not supposed to encourage that.
I didn't encourage anything.
Sit down. Do you understand?
I do understand, but I would like to... I
didn't ask you anything.
It's important.
I don't ask you anything. You are a non-person here.
He's already
The only
involved
t-
me.
the-
He's called the police on
you
me,
are-
too.
you
He said
are
I
a
threatened to
non-
beat the him. What the hell's next?
I love it.
You are a non-person here. The only people that are important
You're
are
gonna
the
love it,
parents
all
of
right.
these 2 children. And if I can't make my point to them, then this whole thing is a waste.
Your Honor, who has our 8-year-old here to testify against the mother?
Not in my courtroom.
Thank you.
That's because
Thank you.
I opposed it.
Not
as
in
well.
my courtroom. He's angry. I mean, I tried to
And
tell
I wish
him.
he would stop it, because we do have 2 children together,
You're
and they
absolute-
need us as parents to come together and be their parents.
Then you have to do the right thing. And if he's doing the wrong thing, believe me, it will come around and bite him in the behind one day. But you have to do the right thing.
Get help.
And you can't be controlling.
I'm just saying what I have
You
to prove
can't
that she
be-
came after us with a baseball bat that's
You
very
cannot
damaging.
be controlling.
Which is what he's been for 10 years, Your Honor.
I mean, I got it, but that doesn't mean that you're perfect. And you really have to understand that you are controlling.
I might be.
You have to get him back his tickets.
Okay.
And just as I'm telling you, go through your house and get her back whatever is there that belongs to her. You got it?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My 8-year-old daughter, after I threw the mother out, she told me that she was getting abused by her mother.
It is frustrating that he's involving my 8-year-old, and we're in a custody battle right now, and it hurts because I don't want him involving her in anything, and he is.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tracy versus Tracy. Step forward, please.
26-year-old model Erica Tracy is suing her brother, 20-year-old Shane Tracy, for the cost to bail him out of jail and unpaid rent.
Miss Tracy, the defendant is your brother.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, he owes you money for 2 things. First, you bailed him out of jail. Second, you claim he owes you some money for rent and board. Your brother says that he didn't ask you to bail him out of jail, and he doesn't owe you anything for rent. First, how old are you?
I'm 26.
And you?
20.
When were you arrested?
April of last year.
For what?
They picked me up on some regular traffic tickets, and then they found marijuana on me.
And you were held overnight?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Did you call your sister?
No, ma'am.
Did you call your parents?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you living with your parents?
Yes, I was living with my father.
What'd they say to you?
They wouldn't help me. They hung up on me.
Did they tell you why?
Yeah, because they said they were sick and tired of me getting arrested.
How many times had you been arrested?
Maybe 4 or 5.
Arrested for what?
Mostly just traffic tickets. Nothing really
You
serious.
mean speeding?
Yeah.
Ever arrested for driving while under the influence of alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Ever arrested for anything other than speeding?
No, ma'am.
Have your parents bailed you out before?
No.
So you never called your sister?
No, ma'am.
Is that right, Miss Tracy?
No, that's a lie.
Okay, so let me hear what happened.
He called and begged and begged and begged.
What did he say?
He said, please get me out of jail. I can't stand it here. I'm getting sick. It's too cold. The ground is hard. Blah, blah, blah.
How many days had he been in jail when he called you?
I think he was calling me since the day he was in jail.
And he asked you to bail him out?
Yes.
Did he say anything else?
That he would do anything if I just bailed him out. He would pay me back.
Was he working at the time?
This particular arrest, I don't remember. He's lost jobs because of being in jail, so at this time I don't remember if he was working.
I lost the job I was working at when I got arrested.
And how much did that cost you?
$500.
When he got out of jail, where did he go?
I think he went back to my dad's house.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened when you went back to your father's house?
I ended up getting arrested again about 4 or 5 months later.
For what?
Evading arrest and failure to ID.
You speeding again?
Yes, ma'am.
You're lucky you haven't killed somebody so far. Did you see your brother between the time he was bailed out of jail and the time he was arrested again?
Yes.
Did you have any discussion with him about the bail money?
Yes.
What was the discussion?
Discussion was that he could make very small payments to me as soon as he got a job in the amount of $25 a week.
Any of that sound familiar to you?
No, man, we never agreed on anything like that.
Was there ever a discussion with your sister about repaying her for the bail money? Why not?
She just came and got me out.
I don't care whether she came and got you out. Is your sister a trust fund baby? Does she have an independent wealth?
No.
She lives on her own?
Yes, man. She makes pretty good money, too.
Good. What do you do?
Not working right now.
Where were you getting money from?
I had a job. I'd pay for it.
Well, but you didn't have a job. You told me you got fired from your job. You telling me you were working at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So why didn't you start giving your sister back the money that she laid out for you for
We
bail?
never had an agreement.
I don't care whether you had an agreement or not. You're not her responsibility. Why didn't you start giving her the money back?
No, I didn't have it.
You had money to put gas in your car. You had money to buy marijuana. So why didn't you start to give your sister back the money? Follow my words very carefully, because I'm a bum. If someone does something nice for you, even if you don't have an agreement, you try to do the right thing. Before you go out and buy 6 joints, you say, I'm going to give my sister back $20, $25. It's a showing of good faith. While my mother and my father, who were already fed up with me up to here, wouldn't come and bail me out, I got my sister to do it.
Well, I never called her. She just came and did it on her own.
Well, if you didn't want her to do it, why didn't you stay in jail? Hmm?
Because I want to be there.
Right. Now, the only problem that I have, Miss Tracy, is with the second part of your complaint. There came a time when you allowed your brother to come to live with you. When was that?
That was after he was in jail for pretty much the whole month of January, and had a baby on the way, and I really...
He had a baby on the way?
Uh-huh. He has a 6-week-old daughter now.
I am a bum. Yes, go ahead.
So I really thought that this was a chance for him to turn his life around.
Why would you think that? Do you honestly believe that a 19-year-old who's been arrested 5 times, spent months in jail, who continues his irresponsible behavior by fathering a child, is going to turn his life around?
I really did it this time.
Oh.
He
Hope
moved
springs
in.
eternal. Yes.
He moved in with the agreement that he would pay me $250 in rent while he got back on his feet.
No, he didn't. Now, Miss Tracy, I don't want you to lie, because even your complaint doesn't say that. Your complaint says, he promised to pay me what he could to cover his expenses, is what you wrote. Anyway, he stayed for a couple of months, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did he leave?
I kicked him out.
Why?
Because he didn't have a job. He got a job for a period of 2 weeks, which he walked out on. I found out after he went into the hospital for a lung problem, and I tried to call his job to tell them that he wouldn't be into work. And they said, we're very sorry that he's in the hospital, but he doesn't work here anymore. He walked out last weekend. So I was taking him to work when he wasn't actually working.
Maybe he was visiting his child.
No.
And what are you doing now, Mr. Tracy?
Still not working.
Who are you living with?
My mother.
You're going through family very quickly. Father, sister, mother. What does your father do for a living?
Aerospace.
What does your mother do for a living?
She works for the Grand Prairie Police Department.
Is that where you live?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
So that's a double embarrassment for your mother every time you get busted, isn't it?
And my uncle's a sergeant in Grand Prairie, too.
Better straighten up, my friend, otherwise you're not going to see age 21. Miss Tracy, I believe you are entitled to your bail money back.
Thank you.
As far as the rent is concerned, I don't think that there was a firm arrangement with regard to the rent that even you relied on, because he hadn't paid you a penny back for the bail. So I don't think that you entertained much hope that he was going to pay you $250 a month if he hadn't paid you a quarter on the $500 that he owed you. I think that you did it because you were being a good soul.
I was trying to make guidelines for him to live by and be more responsible.
It didn't work. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 492 on the calendar in the matter of Smoot versus Andres Rentalin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Andreas is the apartment manager of an apartment complex where your girlfriend lives. She is a tenant. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you also live there, even though you're not on the lease?
Yes, I've been living there for over a year and a half now, Your Honor.
But you're not on the lease?
No.
According to your complaint, Mr. Andreas was having your car towed by the defendant, and you came home to find your car up being loaded onto a flatbed truck or a car that you were working on. It wasn't your car. And an altercation took place, and as a result of that altercation, you were arrested. You claim you were falsely arrested. So you are suing both defendants for having you falsely arrested. Is that what this case is about?
As well as the loss of the car, Your Honor. That's correct.
And ultimately, this car was, in fact, towed and was sold.
That's correct.
How long had this car been parked at the apartment complex?
For 2 days, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Mr. Andreas?
No, that's not correct. It was parked there on 2 different occasions.
When for the first time was it parked there?
It was the beginning of the new year.
And how long was it there then?
I would say at least 3 days. I almost had it towed before.
Now, why did you almost have it towed the first time, sir?
Because I had informed Mr. Smoot that it was tenant parking only.
When did you first inform him of that?
Before the new year. He had a truck parked there, and I asked that it be removed. It was unregistered.
Okay. Whose truck was that, sir?
I had borrowed a truck, okay, because I'm an auto mechanic by trade, and sometimes I have different vehicles when I come home from work. I parked probably 5 or 6 different vehicles there while Jeff was the manager. But
there came a time when there was a problem, Mr. Smoot.
Yeah, there was a problem. And I don't understand it, why there was a problem, because of the fact that, first of all, I brought a witness with me, Norma, which is the tenant that resides in number 18, that gave me permission to use her unoccupied stall. I also have a letter here from the property owner, and I can let her read the letter. The letter was
Just a minute. Did you ever see a copy of this letter?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor.
Not to mention the fact that he was also terminated as the manager for not getting along with the other tenants in the building. I also have a letter of the change.
Has nothing to do with this.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
What do you mean, what's not correct?
I called the owner after the incident, and I asked, did he give permission? And he said, no, he didn't. He had instructed the tenant in number 20 to deal with me on the vehicle.
Whatever.
That's a lie.
I mean, I'm not taking this letter as gospel because it is just a letter. His letter is not sworn deposition. Just curious as to what he said. All right, but Mr. Smoot, you were told by the apartment manager that he didn't want these cars that you were fixing back and forth on the property. That would be a fair statement?
No, that would not be a fair statement, Your Honor.
Well, let me ask you this question. Are you a tenant in that building?
Well, I live there.
No. You're not on the lease. You're not in anybody's lease.
I'm not on the lease. That
You're
is
not
correct,
on the
Your
lease.
Honor.
So you are not a tenant.
No.
Is there a sign on the property that says parking for tenants only?
Not that I'm aware of, Your
Yes.
I have a photograph that
Let me see it.
that shows the sign right by
Of course, there would be a sign that say tenants parking only. Anyway, there was a problem, and he decided to have your car towed. What happened when you came home and found your car being towed, Mr. Smoot? It wasn't your car, by the way. It was a car that you were fixing.
Yes, the car was operable. The only reason that the vehicle was parked inside of the stall is because the vehicle was not legal to have it on the street. And so I asked Mrs. Norma Wilt, my witness, if it was okay to park the vehicle there until I had a time to get the vehicle taken out and take it to the shop so that I can perform the services
So
on it.
you were, just a second, so you were really using this property as part of your business?
No.
Sure you were.
If I park a
No,
vehicle?
you were. You were using this as part of your business. This was not your car. You were, in fact, storing it for business purposes until you could work on it. This was not your personal car for your personal use. It was a business car, and it shouldn't have been there. I don't care whose permission you have. It should not have been there. What happens, for instance, if this vehicle was dangerous for some reason and exploded? Let's say somebody was injured as a result of something that happened because of that car. Who do you think would be responsible? Who would be responsible, Mr. Smoot?
I would probably say the property owner.
That is exactly right.
But we had permission. I had permission from the
No, you did not. No. I don't believe that you had permission from the property
Yes.
owner, sir. I have no evidence that you had permission from
I
the
had
property
permission.
owner. The property owner's not here.
No, but Miss Dolores Harris is.
No, Miss
As well
Dolores
as-
Harris is a tenant.
Mhm.
She is not the property owner. And if something happened as a result of that car being there, she would not be responsible. The owner of the building would be responsible because they permitted that vehicle to be there. if that vehicle spewed oil all over the place and that oil caught fire somehow and there was damage or somebody was injured, it is the owner of the premises that would be responsible, not this lady who gave you permission to park the car there. She had no right to give you permission to engage in a business in her parking space. In any event, I'm telling you, just in case you think you're 100% right, you're not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Smoot claims Jeff Andrews and John Rentalen had him falsely arrested. John says David tried to run him over in a car.
Now let's get back to, you come home and you find your car being towed. What happened?
I came through the fence and I said, Jeff, what are you doing? I said, you know how I make a living? I said, I make a living on working on cars. And I said, this vehicle doesn't even belong to me. I said, why are you going to, tow the vehicle? I said, I can't afford to pay for this guy's vehicle and pay for it to get it out of impound and stuff like that. And he said, I told you that you had until the end of the day to get it out of here. And I said, but it's not the end of the day. It's only 1:30 or so. That's why I came home from lunch to get the vehicle, to take it off so that it wasn't going to create a problem. And he said, I don't care. He goes, I'm towing it away anyways. And so I proceeded to jump in the car. The tow truck driver was probably about 15 yards away, 20 yards away from the car. And what happened is that he had jumped...
No, just a second. You're going to get a chance to tell me your version of the events.
He had jumped in the tow truck, and I had gotten in the car. And so the tow truck is kind of like at an angle, and I'm trying to back out, and then he just gets real close to the back of the vehicle, trying to like block me in. And then Jeff comes around and starts like punching through the window, trying to get me out of the car. And he's like hitting me on the side of my head and stuff like that while the car is running. I had the car running, and it wasn't really running that good, and it's a stick shift. I had the thing in reverse, and he's like trying to pull me out of the car, and this thing is idling.
Just a second, please. You're going to have an opportunity. Don't interrupt again.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's like idling, and he's like trying to pull me out of the car, and my foot like lunged off of the clutch while it was in reverse, and it just kind of like jumped back. And then all of a sudden, I just hear like a screaming noise from his wife, and they're saying, do you have any insurance? Do you have any insurance? Call the police. Call the police. We just, he tried to run us over. He tried to run us over. And they were trying to say that his leg was hurt. And when the police got there, they came and they took a little tiny red little irritation mark or something on a picture, a photo, and they asked him if he wanted to go to the hospital. He said no. At the same time while this was happening, just prior to that, I said, I'm going to go call the police myself. And so as I attempted to go down the hallway at my apartment, the police were right there, and they arrested me. And I said, I'm the one you're looking for, because I wanted to call the police, but they were there, and they turned me around and they arrested me for.
You got it? You got all this, Bert?
I got all that.
They said assault with a deadly weapon. So these guys, Your Honor, I know the guy. I never had nothing against him, but he's a white supremacist. He's got tattoos all over him. And
don't go there. Don't listen to me.
I'm just saying.
Don't go there.
I went to jail. They lied. I had a felony. I was looking at 1 year. I was looking at 1 year in jail. Okay. I missed about 17 days on a jury trial. Okay. I was finally found not guilty. Okay. And I missed all time.
But you went to trial. Is that correct? At the end of the people's case, was the case dismissed, or did you put on a case? Did you testify yourself?
I testified myself.
Then you presented a case. So the case was not dismissed after the people's case. Is that right?
I was found not guilty.
You're not following my question because you're just resisting it? There are two parts of a case. Don't you watch television?
Okay.
The district attorney presents their case.
Right.
And at the end of that case, the defendant, if the defendant wishes, presents their case.
Yes.
At the end of the people's case, the judge finds that there is insufficient evidence to support any kind of a verdict. The judge will direct the verdict for the defendant and dismiss the case. If there is sufficient evidence to go forward, then the judge hears the defendant's case. And then after that entire case, the judge has to make a decision beyond a reasonable doubt whether the allegations are true. Just because you were found not guilty doesn't mean you're not guilty. Just doesn't mean that they were not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that you were guilty. Do you understand the difference?
I understand.
All right. Now you've told your story. By the way, who got nicked with the car?
I did, Your Honor.
All right. So then I'm going to start with you, sir. You want to tell me you're called there to tow the truck?
We were called by Mr. Andrews to to a vehicle, and I had my truck right up to the back of the vehicle that I was going to tow away. And that's when this gentleman over here jumped over the fence and came running up to the car, screaming and yelling, "What are you doing taking my car? You ain't taking it?" And yes, he is. You ain't. It went on like this for a while. This was the guy that signed the paperwork that I had, the permission that he wants me to take this off the property, this paper here. And I said, well, am I taking it? He goes, yes, take it. Okay. So I went to hook it up underneath the vehicle. I reached down, I go into the car to hook it up, and all of a sudden this car starts up and comes back on me, and I'm under the car hooking it up. And so I jump up out of the way, and as I come up out of the way, this gentleman here running around the front of the car and pulled him off from the driver's seat because he was running, and then his wife screamed, "Oh my God, he ran over the tow truck driver."
Okay. Now, before you hook up the car, did you see Mr. Andreas go over to the plaintiff at all? Was there any altercation in the car at all?
No, Your Honor. Mr. Andrews was standing to the rear of the car to my right, and they're arguing about taking the car or not taking the car.
And how far away were they from each other when they were arguing?
The car is between them.
Okay, the car was between them at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And he was not in the car at that point?
Not even.
So he got in the car as you went to hook it up?
I don't know when he got in the car, Your Honor. I was under the car, then I hear the car start up. I didn't see him get in the car. So he was still standing up. I went under the car, then he jumped in the car, I assume, started it up, proceeded to back up on me. I jumped out of the way, and that's when he ran around.
So you saw him run around at that point?
As I was coming back up from behind the car, yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'd like to see a copy of the police report.
I have that. I brought
I'd
that
like
for
to
you
see
today.
it, please. The police report and the police at the scene noted injuries to the defendant, Mr. Rintalin, minor injuries, but injuries to the leg consistent with being hit by the car.